Welcome to Wife Cheating Story. I hope you have an enjoyable and relaxing time listening. Let's get started.
I'm Hunter Davis. People hear my name and think I'm some kind of adventurer or big-time outdoorsman. But I'm just a drone inspection specialist and infrastructure contractor who's more comfortable tinkering with high-tech rotors and cameras than engaging in fancy dinner conversations. I guess that's how the story really starts. Me, my drone, and the day I stumbled onto Selena Carter by complete accident. I never expected to wind up entangled with a senator's daughter, much less find myself so enthralled I'd marry her in a whirlwind. I sure never imagined I'd discover her darkest secrets or stage an elaborate revenge in front of half the state. But hey, life flips you upside down sometimes. Let's roll back to the beginning. A few months ago, when I was simply a laid-back guy, operating my drone near a rickety water tower. That day, I was just trying to finish my inspection and maybe grab a burger afterward. Instead, I ran into the biggest puzzle of my life. I remember checking my watch. It was nearly 3 in the afternoon, scorching sun overhead, and I'd already been out on site for 6 hours. The city council had hired me to do a structural inspection of an old water tower set for restoration. I was losing daylight. In a practical sense, my eyes felt worn from watching video feeds, and the metal skeleton of that tower was a hazard waiting to happen. As I'm wrapping up, I spot movement near the second platform. At first, I figure it's a worker, or maybe a local historian. Nobody told me we'd have visitors, but you never know. Then I realize it's a woman, wearing these ridiculously expensive-looking shoes like bright turquoise heels. She looks out of place on that rusted catwalk. I squinted, thinking, who climbs around a half-collapsed tower in footwear like that? Instinct told me something was off. And sure enough, a second later, she slips on a corroded step. I hear a shriek echo off the steel beams. I wasn't close, but I scrambled across the site. My boots skidded on loose gravel. I saw her arms flailing, trying to catch the railing, and I shouted, "Hold on!" I doubt she even heard me. Everything felt so slow. She lost her footing, pitched sideways, and was about to tumble an ugly 10 or 15 feet onto debris below. I dove in. I couldn't climb that ladder in record time, so I aimed for a vantage where I could literally catch her if she fell. My chest hammered with adrenaline. There's something primal about seeing a person in immediate danger, triggers this frantic impulse to help. Then, just as she teetered over the rail, she twisted her body enough to stop a full fall, but her heel snagged. She half-lowered herself dangerously, clinging to a jagged rung. I managed to get directly under her, yelling, "Let go! I'll break your fall!" She gave me this terrified look. Her hands were shaking so badly. I cursed under my breath, thinking I might end up with a broken arm or a concussion if I bungled it. But better me than her, right? She let go, more or less collapsed into my arms from about 4 or 5 feet. It was awkward, like I was trying to catch a big sack of flour. I stumbled backward, landed on my butt in the dirt, scraping my elbow. She tumbled on top of me, winded. For a moment, neither of us moved. My heart hammered. She breathed in short, panicked bursts, hair all in her face. I stared, trying to see if she was injured. A few seconds later, she gathered enough composure to lean away and look me in the eye. She said, "Oh God, thank you, I'm so sorry, I almost died, didn't I?" Her eyes were wide, watery, a mix of shock and embarrassment. I replied, "Feels like you might have, yeah." We sat there for a good half-minute, me cradling her so she didn't slump into the gravel. My adrenaline was through the roof, but I tried to keep calm. She was a complete stranger, but I felt a weird, protective surge. I guess that's just human nature. She was trembling, her pretty face a mask of disbelief. Finally, I helped her to her feet. My legs felt rubbery. She was shorter than I realized, maybe 5'4" without those insane heels, and now that I could see her properly, she had this refined, polished vibe. Expensive hair highlights, a classy blouse, subtle diamond earrings. She looked like she belonged in a gallery, not a defunct tower with tetanus lurking on every beam. I guided her to the little first aid trailer the city had set up on site. She limped a bit. I wondered if she'd twisted her ankle. I asked, "Are you hurt anywhere?" She pressed a shaky hand to her knee. I think I'm okay. Maybe just bruised. And these heels are totally destroyed." I half-laughed, stunned at her casual remark about the shoes. "You're worried about your heels? You almost took a swan dive onto rusted metal." She pursed her lips. "Right, sorry. I guess I'm just in shock. Then she let out a long exhale. Really? I can't believe you caught me. Thank you. Inside the trailer, I rummaged for a first aid kit. The air smelled of stale coffee and disinfectant. She perched on a fold-out chair, wincing. I handed her a bottle of water. Here, sip this. She nodded, hair tumbling around her shoulders. I noticed how her nails were manicured. Her outfit was crisp. Definitely not a typical site visitor. How'd you get in here? The place is restricted, I said gently. She managed a small smile. I was taking photos for my father's campaign. She said it with a certain hesitation. He's Senator Ivan Carter. Maybe you've heard of him? I froze, a mild spark of recognition. I'd seen the name on yard signs. Carter, yeah. He's behind that historical renovation grant, right? She nodded. He's big on preserving local landmarks, though you wouldn't guess it from his schedule. Let's just say his approach is mostly talk. I decided to come out for pictures, highlight the tower's condition. Didn't expect it to be so unsafe. I almost laughed. A rotting water tower is obviously unsafe. But I kept it to myself, only replying, you should have had an escort, or at least sneakers. She sighed, looking self-conscious. You're right, absolutely. I'm a fool for wearing these shoes. I had a morning meeting and thought I'd do a quick stop here. I nodded, wrapping her knee lightly with a bandage. I think you'll be all right. Just take it easy. She leaned in, reading my name badge on my shirt. Hunter Davis, you saved my life, literally. I'm Selena Carter. Her voice was softer then. Our eyes locked. There was a fleeting charge in the air. Something in me recognized it, the strange intimacy that forms when you rescue someone from a near catastrophe. But I let the moment pass, turning away to stow the bandage kit. Better get you out of here, I said quietly. This site isn't open to the public. She nodded, an almost guilty expression. Thanks again, I owe you. Don't mention it, I replied, still uncertain if I'd see her again. Didn't occur to me she'd come knocking with a fancy invitation, but fate's weird like that. That night, I sat in my apartment, rewatching the day's drone footage. Usually, it's just a chore I check structural integrity points, see if I missed any glaring cracks. But I had a new reason. There might be a cameo from the woman who nearly broke her neck. Sure enough, I spotted a figure on the upper platform. The camera caught her stiletto slipping, her frantic arms flailing. Then the feed swerved as I guided the drone away. A bizarre sense of protectiveness welled up in me. She could have died out there for some misguided photo op. Who the hell puts themselves in that position? Unless she was desperate or clueless or naive about the tower's condition. I realized I was letting this swirl in my head too much. She was just some senator's daughter, possibly reckless, maybe a little bored. My phone chimed a text from my coworker, Manny. All good for tomorrow, man? We start at 7? I typed a quick response. Yeah, see you bright and early. But my mind drifted back to Selena, the way she'd looked at me with genuine relief. The slight tremor in her hands. Something about her told me she wasn't just a spoilt politician's kid. I shook it off, told myself, Hunter, you're reading too deep. I tried to watch a movie, couldn't concentrate. I tried to make dinner, forgot to season the chicken. My entire evening was overshadowed by the memory of her face, that ephemeral closeness in the trailer. I felt an odd pang of regret that I never asked for her contact info, but also a flicker of relief that I might never see her again. Avoid any entanglement with Senator Drama, you know. But life had other plans, obviously. A few days later, I arrived home from a city hall meeting about a potential contract. My mailbox had one fancy cream-colored envelope with gold trim. It spelled out, Hunter Davis, residential address. No postage stamp, must have been hand-delivered or couriered. I opened it on my stoop, reading, Mr. Davis. You are cordially invited to the Carter Family Fundraising Gala, Saturday, 7 p.m. at the Cypress Court Hotel. At the bottom, a scrawled note in black ink. Thank you for your kindness. I'd like to repay you properly. Selena Carter. My pulse jumped. She'd actually tracked me down. A fundraising gala? That's so far from my usual comfort zone, I thought. But there was no ignoring it. Something in me buzzed with curiosity. Manny teased me the next day. She's definitely into you, bro. But I said, Nah, probably just a courtesy invitation. She's a big shot's daughter. Still, I decided to go. Maybe I should have declined, but a part of me wanted to see her again. Even if it was just for closure or gratitude, or, well, I can't lie. I felt a spark I couldn't ignore. The night of the gala, I dusted off the only suit I own, navy, slightly tight across my shoulders. My reflection in the mirror looked uneasy. I considered ditching the tie. My phone buzzed with a text from Nia. "Don't forget your manners, champ. Good luck." She'd heard all about Selena from me, so she was half encouraging, half teasing. I arrived at the Cypress Court Hotel, a place that screamed money. Marble floors, golden chandeliers, rows of shiny black cars out front. Valets hustled around. My old sedan stuck out like a sore thumb among the sleek sports cars. I gave the valet my keys, feeling a twinge of embarrassment, but brushed it off. It's just a car, who cares? Inside the main ballroom, I stepped into a swirl of chatter and clinking glasses. Politicians, donors, socialites, all decked in glamorous outfits. My tie felt like a noose. Then I spotted Selena near the entrance, wearing a long burgundy gown that revealed her shoulders elegantly. She locked eyes with me, smiled, and came forward. She actually looked relieved. "Hunter, you came," she said softly. "I'm really glad." "Yeah," I swallowed, scanning the crowd. "This is quite a production," she laughed, though it sounded a bit tense. "Right? My father loves these big events, courting donors. Honestly, I hate it. But tonight's different since you're here. Let me introduce you to him." I had a split second to protest, but she was already guiding me by the elbow. That's when I first laid eyes on Senator Ivan Carter up close. He was tall, broad-shouldered, probably in his mid-50s, hair salt and pepper but impeccably styled. The way he carried himself screamed authority, or maybe intimidation. One of those guys you sense is sizing you up in 3 seconds flat. He turned with a politician's practiced smile. "Selena, who's this?" she motioned. "Daddy, this is Hunter Davis, the contractor who helped me at the water tower site." His eyebrows lifted. "Ah, the water tower incident. I heard about that. So you're the brave man who kept my daughter from busting her head, hmm?" He extended his hand, and I shook it. His grip was firm, borderline crushing, like a test. I tried not to flinch, gave him equally strong pressure. "Yes, sir. She was in a dangerous spot." Ivan nodded, a flicker of something in his eyes. "Well, that tower is indeed dangerous. Glad you were there. So, you do drone inspections, correct? We might have some synergy. I'm always looking for modern solutions for our infrastructure." Selena interjected. "Daddy, can we not talk business for once?" He chuckled, patted her shoulder. "Of course, sweetheart. Right. Let's just say we appreciate you, Mr. Davis. Enjoy the gala." His gaze lingered on me for half a beat as if measuring my potential threat or advantage. I couldn't tell which. Selena breathed out the moment we walked away. "Sorry about that. He can be intense." I let out a tiny laugh. "Yeah, intense is a good word. You look beautiful, by the way. Surprised you even recognized me in this getup." She slid an arm around mine. "I'd recognize you anywhere, especially after you saved me from a near-death stunt." Then her eyes lowered. "I wanted to properly thank you. I hope you don't mind the invitation." We found ourselves near a champagne station. She plucked 2 flutes, handing me one. I took a sip, not much of a champagne fan, but it calmed the nerves. She introduced me to a few local officials, each greeting me politely, but with that subtle question in their eyes. Who is this random guy with the senator's daughter? While Selena mingled, I drifted around the edges of conversation. That's how I overheard certain people mention Zeke Novak, some heavy-hitting lobbyist who was rumored to be pulling strings for big state contracts. "We gotta keep Novak happy," one man said. Another answered, "He's unstoppable. The Carter campaign would be nothing without him." I also noticed Selena stepping away occasionally to field phone calls. She'd slip behind a pillar, voice too low for me to catch more than a murmur. My curiosity prickled. Something about this environment made my stomach uneasy. I wasn't a big fan of politics to start with, and the vibe here felt extra slick. My father once told me, "Son, politics is a chessboard, everyone's a piece, and most are pawns." I was beginning to think he was right. Around 9 p.m., I decided I'd had enough schmoozing. The swirl of wealthy donors and backroom deals was overwhelming. I found Selena talking to a campaign staffer. She spotted me, excused herself, and joined me by the exit. "Heading out already?" she asked softly, an undercurrent of disappointment in her voice. I nodded. "Yeah, not really my crowd, but thanks for inviting me. I appreciate the gesture." She bit her lip. "I get it truly. This scene's exhausting. Let me walk you to the door." We stepped out into the quieter hotel lobby, away from the main noise. Selena touched my arm gently. "I meant what I said, about being grateful. People in that room, my father's circle, most wouldn't have bothered climbing that tower, let alone risking themselves." "You did. You barely knew me. That matters." I shrugged. I did what anyone decent would do. My chest felt tight. I was more overwhelmed by her earnestness than the fancy gala. "I'm just glad you weren't hurt." She glanced at the floor, then back up. "Would it be too forward if I asked you to maybe have coffee with me sometime? I'd love to talk without all this." She gestured back at the ballroom. I paused, oddly flattered. "Sure, that'd be nice." A quiet smile broke across her face, and she let me put my number in her phone. Our eyes met in a moment that felt strangely intimate for a place so public. Then I squeezed her hand goodbye and stepped into the night, my mind swirling with a million questions. What am I getting into? Over the next few days, everything else in my life felt oddly muted because I couldn't stop thinking about Selena Carter. Part of me was suspicious. What if this is just a fling for her, or some manipulative move by a senator's daughter? Another part of me, though, recalled her vulnerability at the water tower and that spark at the gala. We texted a bit, mostly casual stuff. "Hey, how's your day?" Or "What's your next job site?" She teased me about my heroic arms, which made me chuckle. I joked about her next footwear choice for climbing old structures. Eventually, we agreed to meet at a quiet cafe on the west side. I deliberately chose a normal, cozy spot rather than some upscale lounge. She arrived wearing jeans and flats. Yes, no more insane heels, and I realized how genuinely pretty she was in a down-to-earth way, minus the formal glitz. We spent 2 hours talking. She asked about my upbringing. I told her about my folks, my dad who was a machinist, my mom who worked retail. She shared that her mother passed away when she was young, leaving Ivan Carter as her only parent figure. That gave me insight into why she seemed both close and resentful of him. She said he was controlling but also scared to lose me, which left her perpetually monitored. It was almost endearing, if not for the undercurrent of tension in her voice. After the second cappuccino, she sighed. "It's nice to just talk normally with someone. Most guys I date are so fixated on politics or money or my father's influence. You're different, Hunter. You're real." I nodded, heart fluttering a bit. "I'm no big shot. I just do my job and try not to step on any toes." She reached across the small table, touched my hand. "It's refreshing." When she left that afternoon, we parted with a short kiss on the cheek. My pulse hammered. It was all so quick, but I felt a pull. Maybe I thought, this could be something genuine. Or it could be a trap. But hope overshadowed caution for the moment. That same week, I had a big meeting with Manny Morales, my longtime co-worker and friend. Manny was in his early 40s, ex-military, now specialized in drone flight logistics. He'd become a big brother figure to me, always calm, always telling me not to do anything reckless. We were at a local pub, going over our next inspection schedule. Manny noticed I was distracted. "All right, dude, you gotta tell me, who's the woman messing with your head?" I smirked. "How do you know it's a woman?" He clinked his glass of soda. "Because your eyes keep drifting into some daydream. Spill it." So I gave him the short version, saving a senator's daughter, her inviting me to a gala, the coffee date. Manny whistled low. "Man, that is serious territory. Don't get pulled into politics. It's a snake pit." I exhaled. "I know. It just happened. She's not like them, though. She's sweet. She hates the politics, too." Manny shrugged. "Just watch yourself. People in that sphere, they can be complicated." I nodded. Manny's caution matched my gut feeling. But the next time Selena texted me, "Hey, dinner tomorrow?" I said yes, because in that moment, logic was overshadowed by the desire to see her again. Dinner with Selena ended up at a little Thai place she claimed was her favorite hole in the wall. We got a corner booth. She wore a casual sundress, hair loose around her shoulders. I wore my usual jeans and a button-down, anxious about looking underdressed, but she teased me for being too formal. We fell into easy conversation. She asked about my drones, genuinely curious. I explained how each inspection can save the city thousands by detecting structural issues early. She listened intently, throwing in the occasional question, not the bored half-smile so many folks gave me. She was actually engaged. Midway through pad thai, her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, face clouding. She declined the call. "My father," she murmured. "He's been trying to set me up with his staffers again. Some new campaign manager wants me at a weekend retreat." Her lips twisted in frustration. "I told them I have a life beyond parading for photo ops." I reached over, gave her hand a gentle squeeze. "You can stand your ground. You're an adult." She nodded, letting out a brittle laugh. "Sure, but he's used to controlling everything. Doesn't help that I rely on him for, well, a lot. I never had to be truly independent." "Maybe that's about to change," I said quietly, surprising even myself with that confidence. She looked at me with shining eyes, a spark of something intangible. When the check came, we both reached for it. She insisted, "Let me, please. I owe you, remember? For saving me." I rolled my eyes but relented. In the parking lot, we paused under a flickering street lamp. She leaned closer, her breath warm, her perfume delicate. I guess we both felt the moment. I slid my arm around her waist and we kissed. A simple, sweet kiss that felt more real than anything I'd experienced in a long while. We parted breathless. She whispered, "I don't want to go back to that big empty mansion tonight." I froze, heart pounding. Then she half laughed. "No, I'm not well. If you invited me to see your workshop, I wouldn't say no." So we drove across town. The workshop was basically a large garage behind my small apartment. I had a few drones lined up, sketches on a whiteboard. Selena wandered around enthralled, occasionally brushing her hand across my tools. "This is amazing," she said softly. "You built all this from scratch?" "In stages," I answered, rummaging around. "I started with a small loan, then grew each time I picked up a city contract. My dream is to expand regionally, maybe nationally." I paused. "But if your father's campaign has anything to do with it, I might stay local. Don't want to be indebted to him." She gave me a sympathetic smile. "I get that. Don't let him rope you in." "Promise?" I nodded. "Yeah, thanks." My voice cracked. "You, want a soda or anything?" She shook her head, stepping closer. "Not really. I'm more interested in you than a soda." The way her eyes glowed made my heart stutter. We fell into another kiss, deeper this time. She pressed herself to my chest, arms winding around me. When we finally paused, breathless, she whispered, "I feel safe with you. That's rare. Thank you." I just held her there, my workshop lights casting strange shadows. In that hush, everything else felt far away: her father, the politics, my job, Manny's warnings. For once, it was just the two of us, and it felt damn good. We started dating regularly. She'd swing by after her father's events, we'd watch a movie, or I'd test a new drone camera while she teased me for being a tech nerd. We had inside jokes. We had that mutual spark. It was exhilarating. I ignored Manny's side-eye, telling him, "Look, man, I'm careful, okay?" Even Nia, who'd normally grill any woman I was seeing, softened once she saw how happy I seemed. That calmness didn't last long, though, because within a few months, Selena broached the topic of marriage. She said she was tired of living in her father's shadow, wanted a simple life with me. She made it sound so easy. I was swept up in the romance of it. I found myself fantasizing about building a future together, a family one day, having someone who truly believed in me. In the back of my mind, though, that little voice kept whispering, "Slow down. Something's not right." But love's funny. It can hush that voice pretty quick. So I said yes. We got engaged. And that's where I should have known the real trouble was about to begin. I used to think of engagement as a long, sweet period where two people plan out their wedding details and get to know each other's quirks. For Selena and me, it was more like we flipped a switch from playful dating to a big swirl of political demands, especially once her father decided he'd host our engagement party at his estate. If I had any illusions that we'd slip off quietly into married bliss, they shattered the moment I stepped onto Carter property. Within a few weeks of her proposal, we found ourselves picking out rings. I guess I was naive enough to think this was a personal matter. But Selena mentioned, "Daddy wants an official statement he thinks it'll boost the family's public image." I nearly choked on my coffee. Public image? This was supposed to be about us, not a campaign. She saw my expression, quickly kissed my cheek. "Don't worry, I'll handle it," she said. "He won't overshadow us, promise." Well, that promise was short-lived. A day later, I got a call from a local news reporter wanting to interview the lucky fiancé. I realized Selena had told her father, and her father had told the world. The whirlwind was unstoppable. Manny said, "You sure you're not moving too fast?" But I brushed it off. Nia gave me a concerned look, but tried to be supportive. I was so enamored with Selena that logic took a back seat. I told them, "Look, it's just how we feel. Why wait?" Work was nuts, too. I had a big city contract for drone inspection of some older bridges, so my days started at dawn, ended at dusk. Manny and I hammered away, though I kept glancing at my phone for Selena's texts. We planned to announce our engagement publicly at her father's estate the following week. One evening, Manny pulled me aside. "Hey, bud, quick heads up. I ran into a friend from the city planning department who said they saw Selena in a black Mercedes with some guy. Didn't look like her father." I tried not to react, but my gut twisted. "She has cousins, staffers, all sorts of people. Probably nothing, right?" Manny's brow furrowed. "Could be, sure. Just watch out." I forced a grin, telling myself Manny was too paranoid. I had to trust Selena, right? Still, the thought lingered. Did that black Mercedes belong to Zeke Novak, the infamous lobbyist I'd heard about, or someone else? When Selena texted me that night, I asked casually, "Hey, were you in a black Benz today?" She responded, "Haha, no. That must have been someone else." Something about the haha no came off forced, but I let it slide. Don't start a fight over rumors, I told myself. Yet a seed of doubt planted itself deeper. The day of our official engagement celebration arrived. I'd never been to the Carter estate. Driving through the tall iron gates, seeing the sweeping lawn, the grand pillared house, it was like stepping into another universe. Valets directed me where to park. Gardeners manicured flower beds so pristine it felt artificial. Inside, the foyer spanned 2 stories with a chandelier overhead. Staff, in formal attire, buzzed about. Selena greeted me, wearing a champagne-colored dress. She gave me a light kiss, then ushered me to meet her father, who was with a group of guests. Ivan turned, clasping my shoulder. "Welcome, son. Big night, big crowd. Let's make it special, yes?" He guided me around, introducing me to donors, local business moguls, even a couple of state reps. People congratulated me, though half their smiles looked more curious than genuine. Who is this drone guy marrying the senator's daughter? At one point, I felt Selena's grip tighten on my arm. She whispered, "They're all looking at us. You good?" I forced a smile. "Yeah, absolutely." But inside, I was overwhelmed. Then we circled to a lavish sitting room. That's where I first encountered Zeke Novak face-to-face. He was leaning against a marble fireplace, swirling whiskey in a tumbler. Mid-30s, slick black hair, a posture that radiated arrogance. The moment he spotted Selena, he grinned in a way that made my skin crawl like he knew something I didn't. Selena hesitated. "Hunter, this is Zeke Novak, a longtime family friend," she said, choosing her words carefully. Zeke extended a hand. "Pleasure, man. Heard you're the fiancé." I shook his hand, found it strangely limp, like he didn't bother feigning genuine courtesy. "Yeah, that's me," I said, trying to sound neutral. He gave Selena a quick glance, smirked. "Congratulations, Miss Carter. You sure moved fast." She gave a tight-lipped smile. "Zeke's one of my father's top donors." Zeke chuckled, swirling his drink. "Don't undersell me, dear. Let's call me a strategic partner." Then his gaze flicked to me again. "So, rumor has it you do drone work. Plan to scale up with Senator Carter's help, I presume." I stiffened. "No, I built my business alone. No politics involved." His eyebrows rose. "Right, my apologies. Well, if you ever need—" "Zeke," Selena cut him off. "We're heading to greet other guests, excuse us?" She practically tugged me away. My pulse hammered. Something about Zeke exuded an air of smugness that made me want to punch him. but I kept my composure, glancing at Selena, who looked uneasy. We ended up in the garden area, where tables were set under fairy lights. She found us seats, whispering, "Zeke can be pushy. Don't let him get under your skin." I studied her face. "You've known him a while?" She hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, he's always around my father's campaigns. He's intense. Don't worry, he can't hurt you." The fact she said, "hurt you," alarmed me. But before I could probe further, Ivan strode up, raising a glass to announce our engagement to the gathered crowd. Everyone clapped politely as we stood, forced to smile at the senator's toast. He made a joke about how Hunter saved my daughter's life, so I guess he earned her hand. Laughter rippled. My cheeks burned, feeling like a novelty. Selena gripped my hand, and I realized she wasn't fully comfortable either. After the formal toast, music started playing. People formed little clusters for conversation. Selena's aunt, Regina Carter, approached me. She was older than Ivan, with kind eyes and a straightforward manner. She gently took my elbow, pulling me aside. "Let's chat a moment, dear. I'm Regina." I introduced myself politely. She gave me a once-over, then said softly, "I see Selena's quite taken with you. Just be mindful of how this family operates. We've had plenty of heartbreak, plenty of secrets. If you need an ally who's outside the senator's bubble, come to me." I blinked, uncertain how to respond. "Thank you, that's kind. Are you saying I might need an ally?" Her lips pursed. "Ivan can be controlling. Selena's mother was my sister, rest her soul. I just want to see Selena happy, not used." Her words sent a chill through me. She patted my hand, then vanished into the crowd. I wondered what the backstory was. Used? By who? For what? I needed air. The estate's side hallway led me to a window overlooking the rose garden. I leaned on the sill, swirling my soda. I wasn't in the mood for more champagne. That's when I caught low voices around the corner, a man and a woman. I recognized Selena's voice, hushed, urgent. "Don't do this here. My father's around." Another voice, male, said, "We have an arrangement. Don't pretend you can just change the game because you found a new toy." My chest tightened. Was that Zeke? It sounded like him. Selena hissed, "I told you, it's not about the money. This is real." He snorted. "Sure. Just don't forget the reason we started this. Carter needs my backing, and we both know how you sweetened that deal." I heard footsteps. I barely managed to step back into the main corridor, heart pounding. I re-entered the party, forced a calm expression. A few seconds later, Selena emerged, face flushed, while Zeke strolled out from behind her, smirking. They separated as if to avoid suspicion. What arrangement? Sweeten that deal? My mind raced. The notion of Selena having some prior involvement with Zeke hammered at my gut. Could she have dated him? Or worse? When she joined me near the bar, I tried to steady my voice. "Everything okay? You look upset." She forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Just family politics. Don't worry about it." Then she clung to my arm. "Let's get out of here soon, yeah?" I managed to slip away from the party around 10 p.m. with Selena in tow. We ended up at my apartment. She stayed the night, but I couldn't shake the tension from that overheard exchange. The next morning, we parted ways early. She had errands, or so she said. Later, I confided in Nia about the weirdness. She listened intently, then said bluntly, "That Zeke guy is known for shady lobbying. If Selena has some secret arrangement with him, that's a big red flag. Why'd she keep it from you?" I shrugged, uncomfortable. Maybe it's old stuff. Maybe it's just financial. She's stuck in her father's world. Doesn't mean she's cheating or anything. Nia raised an eyebrow. "I never said cheating. You did. Is that on your mind?" I paused, realizing I'd used that word subconsciously. Something's off." Nia put a hand on my shoulder. "Listen, you love her, right? Then be direct. Ask her. Don't bury suspicion." She was right. But when I tried to question Selena that night, she brushed it off with a mix of sweet kisses and, "Trust me, it's just Dad's campaign drama." I let it slide, not wanting to cause friction. A pattern was forming, my doubts rising, her smoothing them over with affection. It worked. For the moment. A few days later, Clarissa Hayes showed up at my workshop. I recognized her from the party. She was introduced as the family attorney. She'd texted me, saying she needed to pass me some documents from Senator Carter. Great. More formalities. She arrived, tall and confident, carrying a manila folder. She said politely, "Hunter, I realize this is abrupt, but Senator Carter asked me to present you with the prenuptial agreement. He insisted it's standard for the Carter family." I frowned. Selena never mentioned a prenup. Clarissa gave an apologetic shrug. She might not have known the details. This is mostly her father's directive. He wants to protect the Carter estate from unscrupulous suitors. Heat flared in my chest. Unscrupulous suitor? That's me, apparently. She sighed. I'm not saying I agree with him, but I'm his attorney. My job is just to deliver this. I flipped through the pages. The gist was pretty offensive. If we divorced for any reason unrelated to adultery on Selena's side, I'd walk away with nothing. If I was found cheating, I'd forfeit everything. But ironically, if she cheated, she'd also lose the Carter Trust funds. It heavily favored her father's interest overall, ensuring minimal risk to the Carter name or money. A wave of anger coursed through me. This is insane, I muttered. I'm building my own company. I'm not after their wealth. Clarissa gave me a sympathetic look. I know, but the senator has strong opinions. My advice, talk to Selena. If you want any changes, propose them. But from my experience, Carter's not flexible. She left me stewing. That night, Selena and I had a tense phone call. I told her the prenup was insulting. She apologized profusely, claiming her father must have blindsided her. Don't let it upset you, she pleaded. He's just being overprotective. Sign it if you want. None of that matters to us. I hesitated. It's not about the money, Selena. It's about the principle. He's basically labeling me a gold digger or a potential cheat. She sniffed, sounding on the verge of tears. I'm sorry, honey. Let's just sign it to shut him up. Please? I don't want a family war. I love you. I caved. Because love makes you do dumb things. I scribbled my name on that damn contract, thinking, at least if she's loyal, we'll never need to enforce it. If only I'd known. The following weekend, I was loading drone gear into my truck for an early job when I noticed Selena drive off in a hurry. She told me she had a charity meeting. I gave her a wave, though she seemed anxious. Something inside me whispered, follow her. It was a crazy impulse. But Manny's earlier comment about the black Mercedes replayed in my mind, so ignoring better judgment, I hopped into my truck and drove a cautious distance behind her. Sure enough, she led me across town into a swank area of condos near the waterfront. I parked half a block away, watched as she pulled into an underground garage. Minutes later, I glimpsed a black Mercedes leaving the same entrance, turning onto a side street. Two silhouettes in the front seats, one looked suspiciously like Selena, the other definitely male. My stomach sank. No, maybe it's a coworker. She said it's a charity rep. But deep down, dread coiled. A black Mercedes, the same model Manny mentioned. And from what I saw, it was definitely not her father behind the wheel. I sat there, debating if I was being paranoid. After about half an hour, I left, unsettled. The next time I saw Selena, I asked how her charity meeting went. She gave me a rushed explanation, didn't mention driving with anyone. I let it go, but the doubt was creeping in like a slow poison. As if the tension wasn't high enough, Ivan Carter invited, or rather demanded, Selena and me to join him for a weekend at a mountain lodge, some kind of family bonding. She told me it was tradition, that he always hosted these little gatherings. Just grin and bear it, she said. We'll be back by Monday. I agreed, but an uneasy feeling spread in my gut. Nia texted me, don't get lost in the mountains. Good luck, hero. Manny joked about me watching my back. I brushed it off, but that primal sense of foreboding wouldn't leave. We drove up in separate cars because Selena had some errands. I reached the lodge Friday afternoon. It was secluded, surrounded by tall pines, crisp mountain air. Ivan's staff bustled around setting up some open-air barbecue. A few of Ivan's political allies milled about, including staffers I recognized from the engagement party, and my heart clenched. Zeke Novak's convertible parked right out front. Why the hell was he here? This was supposed to be family. My jaw tightened. I walked around, forcing a polite smile at the staff. Then I noticed Selena's car pulling in. She got out, gave me a quick hug, but she looked drained. Daddy asked Zeke to come discuss campaign investments, she explained, reading my face. It's normal. Just ignore him. Easier said than done. That night after dinner, I prowled around the lodge halls. The place was lavish fireplaces, plush couches, big windows. I tried to read some magazine by the fire. A voice behind me said, "Couldn't sleep either, huh?" I turned to see Zeke wearing a smug grin. He had a tumbler of liquor in hand. "Mountain air too quiet?" I forced a civil nod. "Just not used to all this." He sank into a chair. Must be quite a change, going from drone repairs to senator retreats. He paused, eyes glinting. "You sure you can handle it?" Heat rose in my neck. "I can handle plenty." He raised his glass. "No offense, I find it fascinating. Selena's little fling turned fiancé. Impressive." I stared daggers but kept my voice calm. "We're in love, if that's what you mean." Zeke's lips curved. "Love. Right." Then he downed his whiskey, stood, and sauntered off without another word. My fist clenched involuntarily. Something told me he was enjoying a private joke at my expense. Later, near midnight, I decided to check on Selena. Her room was down a corridor. As I approached, I saw her door slightly ajar, faint light spilling out. Then I heard her voice, hushed. Another voice answered male. My blood turned to ice. "Zeke?" Carefully, I crept closer. I could pick out words. "Selena, just keep it quiet. I'll handle Hunter." "Zeke, he's clueless. Don't worry, I won't blow your cover unless forced." A wave of nausea hit me. Cover? My chest pounded. I wanted to burst in, but some instinct told me to hold back, gather more. Their voices dropped lower. I heard rustling, then footsteps heading my way. Panicked, I ducked into a side door, pressing my back against the wall. They passed by, Zeke's silhouette close behind Selena's. Finally, the corridor cleared. I emerged, shook with a violent mix of betrayal and rage. What the hell is going on? I didn't have definitive proof of an affair yet, but this was too suspicious. She'd basically told him she'd handle me. Tears stung my eyes. Am I a pawn in some game? I tiptoed back to my room, heart bruised. That night, I barely slept, mind churning with possible explanations. But one conclusion rose above all. Selena Carter was lying to me. My fiancé might be sneaking around with Zeke Novak, and this was just the start of the nightmare. When we got home from that mountain lodge, it was like Selena flipped a switch, pretending nothing strange happened. But something had snapped inside me. I wasn't the same trusting fool, not anymore. Sure, I didn't yet have direct proof of cheating, but I had enough red flags to suspect the worst. Instead of confronting her outright, I decided to be strategic. Deep down, I felt my heart clench with heartbreak, but my mind was set on finding the truth no matter how ugly. We returned to our normal routines. I spent my mornings at job sites, Manny by my side, carefully flying drones around aging structures. Selena texted me random sweet messages about missing me. "Can't wait to see me tonight." The surface of our relationship looked stable, but every time I gazed at her, I remembered those hushed words at the lodge. "I'll handle Hunter." My blood would run cold. One evening, we had dinner at my place. She babbled about wedding details. "We need to pick a venue. Oh, and Dad's suggesting a country club," and so forth. I forced polite responses. She tried to initiate intimacy later, but I found excuses. "Too tired," or "got an early start tomorrow." She seemed disappointed, maybe suspicious, but didn't press me too hard. I guess she was confident I wouldn't turn on her so quickly. In that weird charade, I realized something about myself. I'm no pushover. If she was betraying me, I'd see it to the bitter end, and I'd make sure not to be the fool left holding the bag. I confided in Clarissa Hayes, ironically the family attorney, because my instincts said she might help. We grabbed a coffee one afternoon under the guise of my business contract. I told her a partial truth. I suspect something's off with Selena and Zeke, possibly an affair. Also suspect campaign fund corruption. I need advice. Clarissa's eyebrows shot up. "That's serious, Hunter. If it's true, it could be bigger than you imagine. Ivan Carter's reputation is on the line. Let me ask carefully. Do you have any evidence yet?" I sighed. "Not exactly. Just overheard conversations, weird behavior. I want to gather proof, because if I confront them without it, they'll spin it as paranoid allegations." She folded her arms. "Legally speaking, you're wise to get evidence. Also keep in mind that prenup. If you confirm Selena's adultery, she forfeits a lot. That's big." Her father might do anything to protect her and their fortune. Tread carefully. I nodded, heart thumping. Thanks. I'll be careful. That night, I tested a half measure. While Selena was in the shower, I skimmed her phone. She rarely left it unguarded. My hands shook. I was no saint violating privacy, but the hints were too strong. The phone was locked, of course. No chance. She came out of the bathroom, and I pretended to rummage in a drawer. My attempt failed. I called Nia. I need help bypassing a phone lock, or at least something less direct like tracking app usage. She paused. You realize this is borderline illegal, right? I exhaled. Yes, but I suspect she's cheating with that lobbyist Zeke. I can't just sit around. My marriage, my entire future is at stake. Nia's voice softened. All right, I get it. I can set up some spyware on her phone if you get me physical access for a minute. Or we can track her location through other means. But be sure you want this. Once we start, there's no going back. I steeled myself. Do it. I want to know the truth. A couple days later, we staged a scenario. I told Selena my phone was acting up and asked if I could use hers for a quick call to Manny. While she chatted with Manny's wife at a cafe, I slipped her phone to Nia, who was waiting at a nearby table under the guise of random customer. She installed a hidden app in less than a minute, returned the phone to me. The entire time, my heart pounded. God, let me not get caught. Selena never suspected a thing. That evening, Nia texted me. Done. I'll share a tracking link. You'll see logs of calls, location, and some text content if unencrypted. I felt a swirl of guilt, but also relief. Now I'll find out. Amid these covert maneuvers, the official wedding date edged closer. Senator Carter insisted we do a formal church ceremony with a big reception. I mostly let Selena handle it, not wanting to get sucked into petty details. Inside, I was swirling. Manny asked me once, why not just break it off if you suspect her? I had no good answer. Part of me still loved the Selena I thought I knew. Another part hungered for a strategic takedown if she was indeed a liar. Maybe I wanted to ensure she and her father wouldn't destroy my business or life afterward. Selena, for her part, kept playing the doting fiancé. She proposed a honeymoon pre-trip to a coastal resort, just for a weekend, to distress. I agreed, thinking maybe if we had real alone time, I'd see a sign that my suspicions were misguided. Wishful thinking. At the resort, we had a decent first day. We strolled the beach, drank pina coladas. She wore a bright sundress, laughed at my silly jokes. For fleeting moments, I felt that old rush. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we can be happy. But by sunset, she was glued to her phone. She started stepping away to talk in hushed tones again. My chest felt tight. Next morning, I caught her texting some friend from college, as she claimed. Right. The friend's name, ZN, glowed on the screen briefly. Zeke Novak. That night, in the hotel bed, I didn't bring it up. I hated the idea of fighting in a place so pretty. Instead, I lay awake, studying her silhouette as she slept. This was the woman I'd rescued from a decrepit water tower. Or so I thought. Who rescues me now? I wondered bitterly. After that honeymoon weekend, we returned home. I texted Clarissa. We need a serious talk, privately. She invited me to her office, away from prying eyes. When I arrived, she locked the door, drew the blinds. So, she said, leaning forward, what do we have? I handed her printed logs from the spyware. Selena's been texting Zeke multiple times a day, coded references to meeting at a condo downtown. Times match intervals when she told me she was at charity events. Also phone calls at odd hours. Clarissa's jaw set. That's a strong indication of an affair. You have location logs? I nodded, flipping more pages. She's been to that condo at least 4 times. She never told me about it. She calls it our safe space in one text. That's not normal friend talk. Clarissa's gaze flicked over the evidence. This is big. If you confronted her, she might deny it. But with these logs, you're building a case for adultery. Legally, that triggers the prenup clause, stripping her of certain protections, awarding you a well, not a big fortune for yourself. But you wouldn't be left high and dry. I nodded grimly. I'm not after their money. I just want to ensure they can't ruin me. She touched my arm gently. I know. Also keep in mind we have signs Ivan Carter might be complicit. If Zeke is funneling money to Ivan and Selena is keeping Zeke happy, that's borderline prostitution or bribery. This might blow up into a scandal. My lips tightened. Then let it blow. I'm done playing the fool. She frowned. You sure you want to do this? Carter's powerful. He might retaliate. I thought of Manny and Nia, how they'd watch my back. I'll gather more, enough to bury them if they come after me. Clarissa nodded. Be careful. Let me know if you need me. I left, heart pounding but resolved. War was coming, and I'd not be caught off guard. That week, Manny noticed my tension. I explained a fraction of the situation, mostly about suspecting her father's corruption, not detailing the affair. Manny said, let's use what we do best. Drones. They're perfect for surveillance. A spark lit in my mind. We do have micro-drones with hires video. If I can catch them on camera entering or leaving that condo, that'd be ironclad proof. Manny grinned, though his eyes were concerned. We'll keep it hush-hush. You do realize this could cross legal lines if we record them inside. But if it's just external footage, it's probably safe. So we planned a covert sting. I planted a small drone near the condo building, hidden behind a row of shrubs. Manny had rigged a motion sensor that triggered the drone to quietly lift and film whenever Selena's license plate or Zeke's car approached. The system fed the footage to a remote server. If they show up, we get timestamps and a crisp video shot. Part of me felt sick doing this, but the betrayal weighed heavier. If she was truly cheating, I needed undeniable evidence. Better to face the truth, no matter how brutal. My mood turned colder around Selena. She asked once, "Are you okay? You've been distant." I shrugged, saying, "Stress from big contracts." She accepted that half-heartedly. Meanwhile, my phone beeped with notifications each time her location matched the condo. Then I'd wait to see if the drone camera triggered. Usually, yes. Late one night, I got an alert at 11 p.m. drone recording in progress. My heart hammered. She'd told me she was staying with Aunt Regina. Yet the screen showed Selena stepping out of her car, hair pinned up, glancing over her shoulder. Then Zeke's black Mercedes rolled up. They exchanged a quick embrace. No, more like a hungry kiss. The drone's night vision captured it all. I nearly slammed my laptop closed, repulsed by the reality. Now there was no doubt. My fiancée was sleeping with Zeke Novak. Some twisted arrangement, possibly orchestrated by her father. I stared at the screen, numb. The date stamp, the location, the brazen contact. My phone trembled in my hand. She's lying. She's scamming me. A part of me felt my chest tighten with heartbreak. Another part roared, "They're not getting away with this." I didn't sleep that night. My head buzzed with thoughts of confronting her or telling her father or maybe just ghosting them. But an equal measure of anger and heartbreak anchored me in place. By morning, I resolved not to lash out publicly yet. I'd gather more evidence, coordinate with Clarissa, and time the reveal for maximum damage. That might sound cold, but I'd learned if I'd just blow up, they'd crush me with their resources. Better to lay a careful trap. Selena arrived at my apartment the next day, bringing pastries, acting cheerful. I watched her rummage through my kitchen humming. My stomach churned with betrayal. She turned, gave me a bright smile, and said, "Morning, fiancé. You okay?" I forced a nod. Inside, my mind reeled. This woman spent last night in another man's bed, and now she's pretending everything's normal. My pulse pounded, but I played my part, letting her dangle in ignorance. That's the moment I realized I was fully at war, in my own home, with the woman I thought I loved. Meanwhile, Senator Carter ramped up his campaign for the governorship. Billboards popped up around town. He roped Selena into more public appearances, showcasing the happy fiancé by her side. As I joined them occasionally for photo ops, my fiancé insisted it took all my strength not to deck someone. The entire show was built on illusions. Zeke hovered around in the background, shooting me smug glances. I gave him cold, neutral stares in return. Ivan, oblivious to my knowledge, tried to buddy up. "Hunter, we should talk about future expansions for your drone business," he said once at a rally. "With me in office, you'll get unstoppable support." I forced a polite smile, silently thinking, I'd rather burn my workshop to the ground than take your dirty money. But out loud, I said, "Sounds interesting. Let's discuss after the election." He nodded, not realizing I was stringing him along. I sensed he was testing me, seeing if I'd grovel for campaign favors. He had no clue how close I was to flipping the script on him. Finally, I arranged a clandestine meeting with Clarissa and Nia at a diner off the interstate far from prying eyes. I showed them the drone footage, the phone logs. Clarissa's jaw dropped. We can bury Selena with this. Also, if we cross-reference certain texts, it might prove Carter's campaign is financed by unethical bribes. Nia chimed in, "What's the endgame, Hunter? Just get out or take them all down?" I sipped my coffee, ignoring how my hand trembled. I want to be free. That means divorcing Selena, making sure they can't sabotage me. If that means exposing Carter's corruption, so be it. They want a big wedding in a few weeks? Fine. I'll let them think it's all going forward. Then I'll unleash everything at once. Let them taste public humiliation. Clarissa gave a slow nod. You're playing with fire, but if you time it right, they'll be the ones burned. Nia looked worried. Are you sure you'll be safe? I closed my eyes briefly, picturing Selena's false kisses, Zeke's smug face, Ivan's controlling presence. I have to do it. They're lying through their teeth, using me as a prop. Let's finalize the plan. That night, I told Selena I was exhausted from work, letting her leave me alone to rest. Actually, I was gathering the final puzzle pieces. Adrenaline coursed through me. My heart ached with sorrow, but my mind was resolute. This ends on my terms. No more illusions. They say the calm before a storm can be the most unsettling. That's how it felt for me the next few weeks, pretending everything was fine, while beneath the surface, a tsunami of evidence was building. I was the perfect fiancé in public, smiling by Selena's side, letting Ivan swirl me into campaign events. Meanwhile, Nia and Manny helped refine our sting, and Clarissa prepared legal angles. If they wanted a big spectacle, I'd give them the greatest show of their political lives. One morning, Clarissa sent me a short text. Don't forget the adultery clause. She forfeits everything. I reread that line a dozen times. The same prenup meant to protect Carter's wealth from unworthy suitors also spelled Selena's downfall if she cheated. Irony at its finest. But to enact that clause, I needed to either go through with the wedding or catch her in the act before we wed and cause the engagement to break under her infidelity. Legally complicated, but Clarissa was confident. If you publicly reveal her ongoing affair, it's basically the same outcome. The Carters can't force you into marriage if you brandish that evidence. The question was, how do I maximize the damage? Ensure they don't spin it. Selena kept noticing my mood swings. She'd stroke my arm, ask softly, "You sure you're okay? Wedding jitters?" I'd muster a half smile. "Yeah, just busy with drone stuff." She seemed relieved enough not to pry deeper. Maybe she believed she could keep juggling both me and Zeke. The audacity. We'd have these forced date nights, dinners at upscale places. She'd post pictures on social media, captioning them with my fiancé. The comment threads glowed with people congratulating us. My stomach churned seeing her facade. She'd spent the afternoon in Zeke's arms, the drone logs told me so, then posted about our romantic date. Sickening. In preparation for the final reveal, Manny insisted on shadowing me at certain events, in case you need backup. I was grateful. Manny's a big, intimidating guy when he wants to be. If Carter's security muscle tried something, Manny could hold them off. One Friday evening, Manny and I sat in my truck outside a venue where Selena was speaking for her father's campaign. Manny asked, "You still got feelings for her, man? Or is it all rage now?" I stared at the steering wheel. Honestly, both. I can't turn off love like a switch, but the betrayal it's overshadowing anything good. She's not who I thought she was. He patted my shoulder. You'll get through it. Just remember, we do this on our terms. A solemn nod was all I gave. Then we walked inside to smile politely and wave for the cameras. Ivan ramped up his schedule. The election was months away, but he was holding a major fundraising gala next week, which many called the critical push. Donors, media, big business, everyone be there. Perfect stage for my plan. Clarissa said, "If you want a public meltdown, that's your moment. We can deliver the evidence to press, 'cause maximum shock." I was torn between going nuclear in front of everyone or confronting them privately. But the more I thought about Zeke's smug face, Selena's lies, Ivan's arrogance, the more I felt public humiliation was fitting. Let them see what real transparency means. I decided. The gala would be ground zero. We had multiple threads, drone footage crisp, time-stamped videos of Selena meeting Zeke at the condo, phone logs, dozens of calls, explicit texts referencing sexual content, hidden getaways. Financial docs Nia uncovered suspicious transactions from Zeke's shell companies to Ivan's campaign, implying illicit funds. Witness statements, Manny caught glimpses, plus any staffers who might talk if we gave them a nudge. Clarissa organized it into a dossier. She said, if you drop this on a few key journalists, plus project some highlights at the gala, it'll be unstoppable. The entire Carter brand collapses. I felt a grim satisfaction. Let's do it. 2 days before the gala, Selena was at my apartment, flipping through wedding invitations. I was at the kitchen table, barely listening. My mind was all about the upcoming bombshell. Then she asked softly, Hunter, do you love me? Like truly? I froze. Why would you ask that? She sighed. Because I sense you drifting. I want reassurance we're solid. The wedding's soon, and I keep feeling like you're distant. My throat constricted. Selena, if I told you I know about your secrets, what would you say? Her eyes darted. Secrets? That's cryptic. Hunter, you know everything important, I swear. A hollow laugh almost escaped me. I masked it. Right, sure. Then I forced a gentle tone. If you trust me, we'll be fine. Inside, I was screaming, you liar. But on the surface, I gave her a quick hug. She relaxed, not realizing it was the calm before the storm. That same evening, I got a text from an unknown number. How's the fiancé life, pal? I recognized the style. Zeke. Anger flared. I typed back, lose my number. He responded, easy now. Don't want Selena upset. See you at the gala, buddy. I nearly crushed my phone. He's rubbing it in. Fine. Let him. He had no idea the avalanche I was about to unleash. I saved the texts, adding them to the evidence pile. More nails in their coffin. The night before the gala, I was in my workshop when Senator Carter himself showed up unannounced. He strode in wearing a sharp suit, scanning my tools with mild contempt. I put down a drone part. Senator Carter, surprise visit? He gave a thin smile. Good evening, Hunter. I just wanted to discuss some concerns. We're so close to the wedding, but I hear you've been making inquiries. Snooping around campaign finances, questioning loyalty. That's unwise. My daughter's happiness is paramount. I matched his gaze. I care about Selena's happiness, too. He snorted. Then stop meddling. We'd hate for your little business expansions to stall, or for certain city contracts to vanish. Am I clear? A surge of defiance rose in me. You threatening me, sir? He stepped closer, glare icy. I'm cautioning you. Keep your head down, be a good fiancé. Don't pry into matters you can't handle. I felt my fists clench, but I forced a calm tone. We'll see, Senator. We'll see who can't handle what. His jaw tightened, but he turned on his heel and left. The moment the door slammed, I let out a shaky breath. He's obviously rattled. Good. Tomorrow I'd show him exactly how rattled he should be. The next day, gala day, Selena and I arrived together at the city's Grand Convention Hall. I wore a black suit, face set. She looked radiant in a flowing silver dress, smiling for the cameras. Zeke was present, schmoozing with donors. Ivan was in top form, making broad speeches about our bright future. The entire place bustled with media, local politicians, big donors. Perfect. I spotted Clarissa near the stage, discreetly distributing sealed envelopes to select reporters. Manny hovered by the AV booth, ready to link up the footage. Nia was in the crowd, phone in hand, prepped to live stream the reveal if needed. My heart hammered. This is it. Ivan took the podium, extolling family values, praising Selena and me as symbols of hope. My stomach churned with the hypocrisy. Then he motioned for us to join him on stage. I stepped up next to Selena, forcing a blank expression. She beamed at the crowd, probably thinking we'd wave politely, maybe announce final wedding details. I cleared my throat, taking the mic from Ivan's hand. Good evening. Thank you all for supporting Senator Carter's campaign. I paused, scanning the sea of expectant faces. My pulse roared. Then I said, but there's something you all deserve to see. Something about the Carter family's real alliances. A flicker of confusion crossed Selena's features. Zeke stiffened by a side pillar, looking alarmed. Ivan frowned. Perfect. Manny from the AV booth triggered the video feed behind us. Suddenly, the giant screen displayed time-stamped footage of Selena stepping from her car, hugging Zeke outside the condo. Another clip showed them kissing. Gasps spread across the crowd. Selena's eyes went huge. She reached for me, stammering, "Hunter, what the?" I jerked away. These images are recent. My fiancé and Zeke Novak, a major campaign donor, in a secret relationship. The crowd erupted in whispers, cameras flashing. Then Manny switched to the financial documents, each linking Zeke's funds to Ivan's campaign in suspicious increments. I raised my voice over the clamor. The Carter campaign built on corruption, nepotism, and an affair behind my back. Enough illusions. Chaos reigned. People yelled, reporters scrambled forward. Ivan lunged for the mic, furious, but I held my ground. Zeke tried to rush the stage, shouting, "Lies! This is staged!" Security blocked him. Selena collapsed in tears, crying, "Hunter, wait, it's not what you think." I glared at her, voice shaking with emotion. "No, it's exactly what I think. You betrayed me. This wedding is off." By then, Clarissa was handing flash drives to key reporters. Manny cut the lights momentarily to display more incriminating images. The entire gala descended into bedlam. Ivan roared at me, "You son of a—" While FBI agents, tipped off by Clarissa, stepped in to question him. Donors fled. The press swarmed like sharks smelling blood. I gave Selena one last look, her face streaked with mascara, sobbing. Part of me felt a pang of heartbreak, but the bigger part felt righteous fury. She'd chosen this path. Then, ignoring her pleas, I walked off the stage, Manny, Nia, and Clarissa at my side. Cameras flashed. My heart hammered, but I felt strangely lighter. In one swift blow, I'd torched the Carter Empire, and I was free. I've replayed that gala scene in my head 100 times, my voice echoing through the microphone, the giant screen exposing Selena's affair, the horrified gasps of the crowd, the cameras flashing like an assault of tiny strobe grenades. At the moment, I was so worked up with adrenaline that I didn't feel any regret. But the next day, and the days following it all, started to sink in. Yes, I'd inflicted maximum damage on the Carter brand. I'd told the world what Selena and Zeke were doing behind my back. But in so doing, I'd lit a fuse on a chain of events that would reverberate far beyond me. Once that first wave of triumph wore off, what remained was a swirl of heartbreak, legal entanglements, and a searing bitterness that I hadn't expected. The city woke up to news headlines like, "Senator Carter's daughter exposed in affair, corruption allegations." And my phone was ringing off the hook with reporters asking for statements. If I learned anything from that fiasco, it was, be careful what you wish for. Sometimes, vengeance doesn't just scorch your enemy, it sets your own world on fire, too. The morning after the gala, I was holed up in my workshop. It was early, maybe 6 a.m. I hadn't slept, still wearing the same wrinkled suit pants and a shirt I'd changed into. Manny crashed on my couch upstairs, and Nia had gone home around 3 a.m. after helping me salvage some of the videos from the event. My phone chimed nonstop with missed calls. The city's biggest local station, WTXG, wanted an on-camera interview. Another station texted me, "We'll pay for exclusives." Some staffer from a national cable news channel even reached out. It was dizzying. I paced the concrete floor, glancing at the silent drones lining my shelves. My business typically needed media coverage for success, but not this kind of coverage. This felt like a feeding frenzy. Knock, knock. The workshop door opened, Manny's tired face appearing. He gave me a weary look. "Hey, man, you good? You've been pacing for hours." I exhaled. "I don't even know how to feel. I did what I had to do, but it's a lot to process." He walked in, arms folded. "No regrets?" I mulled it over, heart tight. "No. I mean, they deserved it. She lied to my face, both she and her father. Zeke was blackmailing me with his smug stares, so I had to set the record straight. But still, I can't pretend it doesn't sting." Manny nodded. "It's normal, man. That heartbreak's part of it." We heard the faint ring of my phone again. Manny glanced at it. Caller ID. Unknown. He gave me a nod. I grit my teeth, hitting ignore. The last person I wanted to talk to was some random journalist or, God forbid, Selena trying to do damage control. In that moment, I noticed Manny's hand on my shoulder. He squeezed gently. "Look, you're not alone. Nia's on high alert. Clarissa is sorting the legal side, and I'll handle any goons Carter might send. We got your back." A wave of relief hit me. Thanks, man. He gave a faint smile. I'll make coffee. By noon, I'd tallied 23 missed calls from an unrecognized number that I suspected was Selena's. The voicemails were mostly incoherent sobs, pleas of, "Hunter, call me please, I can explain," that sort of thing. At first, I ignored them. My chest tightened at hearing her voice so broken, but then I remembered her broken promises, her condo meetups with Zeke. No, I had to stay strong. One voicemail cut deeper. "Hunter, you didn't have to do it like that. You said you loved me. 2 was forced into certain things by my father. Please just talk to me." I slammed my phone on the work table. Manny threw me a sympathetic glance. "Don't let her manipulate you, brother. She's good at spinning a story." I nodded, throat thick. "I know. But it's not easy." We moved on to testing a drone rotor assembly, trying to distract ourselves. My mind flickered. Could she be telling half-truths? Maybe Ivan did push her. Maybe she got in over her head. But the memory of that repeated condo footage, her kisses with Zeke, squashed my pity. If she had wanted out, she had plenty of chances. She never once told me. Later that afternoon, Clarissa showed up unannounced, stepping into the workshop in a crisp blouse and slacks. Her expression a mix of business and concern. "We need to talk," she said, giving Manny a nod. Manny excused himself to check on something outside. Clarissa set a briefcase on my cluttered desk. "First off, media is going wild. Some are calling it the biggest local scandal in decades. Your name is all over, but so is Carter's alleged corruption. The FBI and a couple state agencies are investigating him and Zeke, thanks to your evidence." I rubbed my temples. "So I guess that's good. They can't hide behind hush money now." She nodded. "Yes, from a legal standpoint, you've done a public service. But that doesn't mean they're powerless. Word is, Carter's threatening a defamation lawsuit. He's claiming you fabricated some evidence, especially the financial documents." My jaw clenched. "That's bull. We had digital footprints, traceable wires, everything." Clarissa opened her briefcase, pulling out some paperwork. "I know. He's bluffing. But we should be prepared for a legal fight. Also, regarding your personal situation with Selena since you never officially married, you're not going through a standard divorce. But there's that engagement contract plus the family's prenuptial agreement. Are you trying to recoup anything or just done?" I stared at the floor. "I'm done, Clarissa. I don't want a dime from them. I only want them out of my life." She exhaled. "Fair enough. If you want to finalize a separation of assets or a lawsuit claiming emotional damages, I can help. But it might prolong your exposure, or we can keep it simple. Cut ties, let them drown in their own scandal." I closed my eyes briefly. I pictured the swirl of news coverage continuing for months if I engaged them in a big legal battle. "Let's keep it simple. I won't sue for emotional damages. Carter can't force me to marry Selena, obviously. We sever it all." Clarissa smoothed her jacket. "Understood. Just realize they might try to spin the narrative that you faked some of the videos out of spite or blackmail. Keep your backups. Stay vigilant." I clenched my hands. "I will." Before leaving, she gave me a kind look. "You sure you're holding up okay?" A lump caught in my throat. "I'll manage." She patted my arm. "You did what you had to do. Don't forget that." That night, Nia came by with takeout. We sat on the floor in my small living room, eating lo mein from cardboard boxes. She let me vent about the swirling media circus, the reporters hounding me. She even flagged a nasty rumor on some local gossip blog claiming I had staged the affair footage using lookalikes. Ridiculous. She said softly, "I know it's tough, but you're not alone. I'm here, Manny's here, Clarissa's on it. You did an important thing." I stared into my noodles. It's just, I never expected to feel so hollow afterward. I always pictured revenge as satisfying. Right now, it's more like a bomb went off. And I'm standing in the rubble. Nia wrapped an arm around my shoulders. "That's normal, especially if a piece of you still cared about Selena. Doesn't make you weak, just human." A tear slid down my cheek before I could stop it. I quickly brushed it away, swallowing hard. She didn't comment, just squeezed my arm reassuringly. In that moment, a wave of gratitude for Nia washed over me. Without her, Manny, Clarissa, I'd be lost. In the following days, Manny grew hypervigilant. He insisted on walking me to my truck or workshop in case any Carter security tried something. He installed an extra camera by the workshop door. He also borrowed one of our mini drones to do quick perimeter scans at night. One afternoon, I found him messing with the drone's camera feed. I asked, "Expecting trouble?" He shrugged grimly. Carter might try intimidation. He hates losing, especially losing face in public. I thought of Ivan's vow, how he cornered me in my workshop pergola. That man was capable of threatening me. Now he was publicly disgraced, possibly indicted soon. That made him extra dangerous. Manny's caution felt warranted. Over the next week, Selena's calls kept coming. I never answered. She left voicemails, some tearful, some angry, each about how I didn't understand the pressure or how she loved me but had to keep the donor happy. She tried to shift blame onto her father, claiming Zeke was forced on her. I listened once, just to confirm her story. She said, "My dad told me I had to get close to Zeke for campaign funds or he'd cut me off. I was trapped, Hunter. I never wanted to hurt you." But forced or not, she still cheated. She never told me, never asked for help. The phone logs showed explicit, almost flirtatious texts with Zeke. That was more than just fatherly pressure. So I hit delete, ignoring the pang in my chest. Then one day, she physically showed up at my workshop's front door. Manny was there, blocking her. I heard raised voices, rushed to see. She wore a loose coat, eyes red, hair disheveled. "Hunter, please!" she cried out. Manny turned, asking with his expression, "Do you want me to keep her away?" I hesitated, then stepped outside, shutting the door behind me so Manny stayed inside. My heart hammered. She looked at me, tears streaking her face. "Hunter, oh God, I'm so sorry." She made a move as if to hug me. I stepped back. "Don't," I said hoarsely. "You have no right." She whimpered. "Please listen. My father threatened me. Zeke was forcing me to keep up appearances. I thought you'd never find out. I was trapped. I messed up so bad. I love you." Rage flared. "You don't get to say that word. You think love means sneaking around behind my back?" My voice rose despite my attempt to stay calm. She sobbed, mascara running. I know it's unforgivable. But you could have confronted me privately. Why humiliate me in front of everyone?" My stomach churned. "You humiliated me first. Publicly, you paraded around as my fiancé while hooking up with that scumbag. Don't you dare make yourself the victim." She covered her face, crying. "Ivan told me if I didn't keep Zeke happy, the campaign would fail. He said you'd never understand." "I was a coward. I should have told you, but I was scared to lose you." I scoffed. "Well, you lost me anyway. And now your father can deal with the fallout. I'm done." She reached out, her fingertips grazing my sleeve. "I never stopped caring about you. We can talk. Fix this." I jerked my arm away. "It's over, Selena. The wedding's off. The evidence is out. End of story." My eyes stung, but I refused to let tears show. Her shoulders slumped. "I have nothing left. Dad won't even talk to me. Zeke's threatened to leak more dirt if I don't defend him. I'm lost." A flicker of pity touched me, but I hardened. "That's your mess. You made your bed with them. Don't expect me to bail you out." She bowed her head, tears dropping to the pavement. "I guess goodbye, then." I said nothing, just watched her turn and shuffle away. As I re-entered the workshop, Manny gave me a concerned look. I slumped against the wall, exhaling shakily. Another piece of my heart just died, but it was necessary. 2 days later, a local news anchor posted an anonymous tip that Zeke Novak was planning to release a statement refuting the entire adulterous claims. Possibly he would accuse me of forging the footage. This escalated tension. If the public was uncertain, it could spin either way. Clarissa reassured me, "We can easily prove the authenticity of the drone videos. We have raw data, timestamps, geotags." She paused. "Still, be prepared for a smear campaign. Zeke's the type to fling mud." Sure enough, a week after the gala, he held a press conference. Manny and I watched on a laptop. Zeke, standing behind a podium, claimed that those so-called videos are manipulated, that I used advanced drone special effects. He even produced a doctored photo supposedly showing me in a malicious pose, which we recognized as nonsense. I felt a mixture of anger and amusement. Manny scoffed. "He's desperate. No one serious will buy that, right?" But who knows with the rumor mill? The next day, The biggest local paper published a thorough analysis. Experts confirmed the footage is genuine. They included interviews with a forensic video analyst. My phone pinged with messages from the paper's journalist, wanting a comment, but I let Clarissa handle it. She gave a concise statement. The evidence stands for itself. Mr. Davis welcomes any independent verification. Zeke's stunt backfired. The paper's editorial concluded, Mr. Novak's response lacks credibility. Social media mockery poured down on him. People posted side-by-sides of the real footage versus his fake disclaimers. The comedic memes soared. Seeing that made me realize, yes, I might be heartbroken, but I'm not powerless. My truths are stronger than their lies. Meanwhile, from what Clarissa gleaned through her legal contacts, the FBI was investigating suspicious campaign funds. They raided one of Ivan's offices, seizing computers. Some leaked info suggested Zeke had laundered money for Carter's war chest. They also targeted potential co-conspirators in the State House. The local news said it might be the biggest corruption probe in recent state history. Suddenly, people in Carter's circle either distanced themselves or cooperated with law enforcement. The man who once threatened me to stay in line was now on the defensive, releasing statements denying wrongdoing. My phone buzzed with a text from Manny. Karma's a bitch, huh? I smiled grimly. Indeed, Carter was drowning in scandal, but I didn't feel triumphant, only somewhat vindicated. The entire fiasco had left me battered. People asked if I'd run for office myself. I laughed it off. I'd rather jump off that old water tower, I joked to Manny. All this triggered a wave of public opinions. My social media, which I barely used, blew up with random strangers praising me for exposing corruption. Some called me a hero. Others called me a homewrecker or attention seeker. For every supportive message, there was also some troll spouting conspiracy theories. I tried ignoring it all. Manny gently insisted I not read the comments for my own sanity. Nia, on the other hand, used her IT savvy to moderate hateful or doxing attempts. She reported multiple threats from Carter supporters. A few even posted that I should watch my back. Manny said, "Bring it on." But we stayed cautious, keeping security cameras rolling. Amid the chaos, I realized, living in the public eye, even as a so-called hero or whistleblower, isn't glamorous. My once quiet life was turned inside out. I hoped eventually the media frenzy would fade. As the days passed, I found small ways to cope. Focus on my drone business already. Ironically, I had new clients who admired my honesty. Manny joked that scandal sells, but we took the contracts that seemed legit. I tried not to think of Selena or her tearful pleas. If she was truly coerced by her father, she still made me the fool. One evening, Manny and Nia joined me for a simple dinner in my living room. We ate pizza, told half-hearted jokes, avoided the monstrous scandal talk for a while. They even teased me about future prospects, saying, "Maybe you'll find a normal girl not entangled with senators." We laughed. It felt good. In the hush afterward, I gazed around at these two loyal friends. My chest tightened with gratitude. No matter how messed up the world got, they had my back. I swore to myself I wouldn't let heartbreak or bitterness define me. The Carters could burn in their own downfall. I was going to survive. Maybe even come out stronger. They say the aftermath of a bomb can be more treacherous than the blast itself. Shrapnel wounds, structural collapses, fires that smolder for days. That was my life after the big reveal. I'd removed the immediate threat of marrying a woman who secretly betrayed me, but each passing day uncovered new layers of complexity. With Senator Ivan Carter under official investigation, his once loyal cronies scrambled like rats from a sinking ship. Meanwhile, Zeke Novak tried rewriting the narrative, claiming he was the real victim of fake footage. The media, hungry for every twist, hammered all sides. And in the middle of it, I found myself grappling with a swirl of guilt, anger, and a creeping sense of emptiness. Was I free? Legally, yes. But emotionally, it felt like I was still tethered to a mess that wouldn't let me go. Clarissa requested I sign some formal documents. Statements clarifying that I was severing any claim or connection to the Carter family. She also recommended I get a personal security detail. "Just for a while," she said, "until the investigations settle. People do desperate things when cornered." I balked at the idea of bodyguards, telling her Manny was enough. She relented but told me to stay vigilant. She also brought up the possibility that the Carters or Zeke might sue for invasion of privacy due to the drone footage. She held up a thick folder. "Don't worry, I have your back. We'll assert it was justified under the circumstances, and the condo's exterior wasn't private property. But be prepared for them to try." I scoffed, shaking my head. "Let them. The truth is on my side." Clarissa nodded. "Indeed, but the legal system can be a slog. They might do it just to harass you, tie you up in court." I exhaled, rubbing my temples. "I'll handle it. If they want to keep fighting, I won't back down." Not long after, Manny had a run-in with two men in suits who staked out near the workshop. He spotted them loitering across the street in a black SUV. Manny, being the ex-military guy, walked right over and asked if they needed directions. They gave him a line about waiting for someone. Manny politely informed them he was calling the police unless they left. One of them, a bald man with a thick neck, smirked and said, "We're private investigators for Mr. Carter. We have a right to public space." Manny's fists clenched. "You also have a right to keep your face intact, so get lost." They eventually drove off, but Manny relayed the event to me. "They might be trying to dig up dirt on you or intimidate. We'll be ready." I thanked him, though inwardly my stomach churned. Carter playing dirty wasn't new, but I was tired of it. This man was still a state senator, though calls for his resignation grew louder. My only solace was the knowledge that if they tried anything truly illegal, Clarissa and the FBI scrutiny might pounce. A local tabloid site posted a short video of Selena on their steps, evidently cornered by a paparazzo. She was in tears, talking about how she never meant to hurt Hunter, that she was used as a pawn. The snippet ended with her saying, "I still care about him. I wish we could talk." I watched that clip with Manny and Nia. Manny shook his head. "Seems like she's playing victim." Nia bit her lip. She might genuinely feel remorse, but it doesn't undo the betrayal. I found it surreal to watch her cry on camera, a pit in my stomach. Maybe she was forced. Maybe not. Either way, the path was set. She'd chosen deception over honesty. You can't unring that bell. Ironically, my drone business soared. The scandal made me something of a local folk hero, the man who bravely exposed corruption. City council members who once gave me cold shoulders now eyed me with newfound respect. We landed 2 big inspection contracts for municipal water facilities. Manny joked that we should brand ourselves as drone avengers. But success felt hollow. Sure, I appreciated the revenue, but my personal life was a wreck. Every morning, I'd see a headline about Carter cronies indicted or Zeke Novak fiasco deepens, and it reminded me that I was at ground zero of that explosion. I tried focusing on the positives. The threat to my future was mostly gone, and I had new professional opportunities. Yet late at night, I'd lie awake, hearing the echo of Selena's voice in my memory, the softness in her laugh, the warmth of her kiss. It cut deeper than I wanted to admit. One evening, Nia quietly pulled me aside. "You're not yourself, Hunt," she said gently. "You're working harder than ever, but you barely laugh, barely eat. This fiasco is rotting you from the inside." I swallowed, staring at the workshop floor. "I'm coping. I just need time." She sighed. "I worry you're burying pain under anger. Maybe talk to someone, a therapist, maybe?" I grimaced. "Therapy? That's not my style." Nia folded her arms. "Staying silent and haunted, is that your style?" I shrugged. "I'll think about it." She nodded, patting my shoulder. "Please do. Don't let them keep taking pieces of you." Her words stayed with me. Maybe I was half a wreck. But acknowledging it felt like opening a wound. I told myself once the investigations concluded, once Carter was behind bars or disgraced, I'd move on. Until then, I'd hold steady. One afternoon, Manny told me, "There's a lady at the door asking for you. Says she's Selena's aunt." I blinked, recalling Regina Carter from the engagement party. She'd offered to be an ally. Was she still loyal to Ivan or not? Manny let her in with caution. Regina was a slight, middle-aged woman with a sad smile. "Hello, Hunter. I hope I'm not intruding. I'd like to talk, if you have a moment." We sat in the small office. Manny lingered in the background, arms crossed, watchful. Regina began quietly. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything Selena put you through. I know she's a grown woman responsible for her actions, but she's also been under Ivan's thumb since birth. I studied her face, searching for hidden motives. I appreciate your words, but it doesn't change what happened. She nodded. True. I'm not here to excuse her, just to, well, I want you to know that not everyone in the Carter family agrees with Ivan. I suspect he orchestrated much of Selena's involvement with that Novak scumbag. He's done it before pushing her into relationships for political favor. My stomach twisted. That's messed up. She never told me any of it, though. She lied to me. Regina's eyes glistened. I know, and she regrets it bitterly. Though that might be too little, too late. She's in a dark place, living in a small apartment, avoiding paparazzi. Meanwhile, Ivan's ignoring her calls. He's blaming her for the scandal. She's essentially cut off from the family trust. A swirl of conflicting emotions rose in me. Pity, anger, sadness. I'm sorry she's hurting, but I can't fix that. Regina leaned forward. I understand. I just wanted you to know Selena was never malicious. She was misguided, fearful, trapped. You have every right to hate her, but maybe in time you can find some closure. She does care for you. I remained silent for a moment, then said quietly, Thanks for letting me know, but I'm not sure what good it does now. She placed a gentle hand on mine. Closure can be slow. Anyway, I'll go. Take care, Hunter. She left, leaving me shaken. Manny asked if I was okay. I just sighed. I don't know, man. As the FBI investigation deepened, public tension soared. News vans surrounded the state capitol. Protesters demanded Carter resign. He refused, citing due process. The rumor mill churned about possible arrests of his top aides. Zeke Novak was rumored to be negotiating a plea deal if he testified against Carter. Every day, I half expected to see headlines. Carter arrested. But it hadn't happened yet. Clarissa explained that the feds sometimes took months to build a rock-solid case. In the meantime, some Carter loyalists framed me as a troublemaker, or even part of a conspiracy from the opposition party. I had no political affiliation, I was just a drone guy. This tension spilled into random street encounters. Manny told me a few times he overheard people trashing me in bars, calling me a pawn for the rival campaign. But ironically, some from the rival side tried to recruit me as a spokesperson for clean politics. I refused. I want no more politics in my life, I told them. In the midst of chaos, a bright spot emerged. Nia had been approached by a major cybersecurity firm that wanted to partner with her fledgling startup. She was excited, telling me, They saw my name in the news helping you with the drone revelations. They realize I know my stuff. I beamed. That's fantastic. Are you going to accept? She shrugged. I'm negotiating. Could be huge. They might want me to relocate. Not sure I want to leave behind everything here, though. A pang of worry struck me. If she relocated, I'd lose my main confidant. But I forced a supportive smile. Whatever you do, I'll back you up. You deserve success. She thanked me, giving me a quick hug. You're still my best friend no matter what. I realized how ironically this scandal had boosted not just my business, but also hers, a small silver lining in the swirling storm. One night, Manny and I were wrapping up a long day's work on a new city contract. The workshop was dimly lit. Dusty beams glowed under fluorescent bulbs. Manny broke the silence. Hunter, you ever think about confronting Selena again? Face to face, away from cameras, just to get real closure? My chest tightened. I guess I did it at the workshop door that day. She gave me tears and excuses. I felt like screaming at her, but I said enough. He nodded, rummaging in a toolkit. Just asking because you seem unsettled, like you have an open wound. I sank onto a nearby stool, breathing heavily. I do. Part of me wants to believe she was coerced, that she's a victim of her father. Another part knows she still chose to cheat. Real victims might ask for help, not keep lying. I rubbed my face. I don't know, I can't fix it anyway. Manny patted my shoulder. Sometimes hearing it all out helps, but it's your call. A heavy silence followed, the hum of the overhead lights filling the air. I recalled the day I caught her from falling off that water tower. I thought I was her savior, but maybe I was just a convenient stepping stone. My heart clenched. I blinked away tears. Guess we'll see how things play out. That weekend, Manny, Nia, and I sat in my living room discussing business expansions. The local station was hosting a news special about Carter's case. Clarissa had gone on record about the authenticity of the evidence. We switched on the TV, plates of half-eaten pizza on the coffee table. Suddenly, the anchor reported a leaked police document. Sources say an arrest warrant is imminent for Senator Ivan Carter on charges of campaign finance fraud and money laundering. Manny whooped. Nia gasped. It's happening. But then the anchor continued. Additionally, there are hints that Zeke Novak has provided investigators with details on potential witness intimidation. The net is closing. We glanced at each other wide-eyed. Manny grinned. Good riddance. But my phone buzzed at that moment, an unknown number again. Something compelled me to answer. A frantic voice. Hunter, it's me, Regina. Something's happened to Selena. She's missing. I thought you should know. My blood went cold. Missing? I asked for details, but Regina was hysterical. She left a note about not wanting to drag you down, and she vanished from her apartment. No one can reach her. I'm scared she might do something rash. My heart pounded, a swirl of dread and concern. Manny and Nia stared at me, confused. Selena's missing, I mouthed. When Regina's panicked voice said Selena's missing, I felt the ground tilt beneath me. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Not my problem anymore. But a bigger part recalled the woman I once cared for, a woman who'd become so entangled in lies and political pressure that maybe she saw no way out. And if she was truly alone, who else would help her? So I took a steadying breath, told Regina, calm down, I'll try to help. Tell me everything. Manny and Nia hovered, eyes wide. I kept the phone on speaker so they could hear too. Regina explained that Selena had been living in a small apartment across town, cut off from the Carter estate. She left a short note on her table. I can't fix this. I've hurt everyone. I'm sorry. I'm done. Regina found it when she visited that morning. Selena's phone was switched off, her car still parked in the lot. The security guard saw her leave on foot last night, carrying a small backpack. Regina's voice shook. She's depressed, humiliated, Hunter. I fear she might, God forbid, hurt herself or vanish for good. I have no idea where she'd go. My mind raced. She have any close friends? Relatives she'd crash with? She's been ostracized, Hunter. People see her as the cheating daughter of a disgraced senator. She's told me many times she feels worthless. Regina's voice broke. Manny frowned. We can help search. Where do we start? After the call, Manny and Nia looked at me expectantly. I slumped on the sofa, hands clasped. I have no obligation to her. She lied, she cheated. But I don't want her dead. I can't let that happen. Nia nodded, eyes gentle. She's still a human being, messed up but in crisis. We can't let her slip away. Manny exhaled. Exactly. Let's find her. Ensure she's safe. Doesn't mean you forgive everything. Just means you're not letting tragedy strike. I rose, rubbing the back of my neck. All right, let's do it. Regina's checking the usual places. We can approach it systematically. We can't just call the cops with a note she's an adult, not a missing child, so we handle it ourselves for now. Nia suggested using phone locating tech, but Selena's phone was off. Manny said, we can do old-fashioned detective work. Think about spots meaningful to her, maybe the water tower, or the beach resort you visited, or Carter's estate if she wanted to confront her dad. I swallowed, remembering the water tower ironically being the start of everything. Would she revisit that place in despair? The idea chilled me. If she's suicidal, returning to the scene of near-death? I told Manny, we'll check the tower first. He grabbed his keys. I'll drive. We hit the road with Manny behind the wheel, me scanning the horizon, mind swirling with worry and leftover anger. The water tower site was still half under repair. We arrived mid-afternoon, the sky overcast, wind rattling the chain-link fence. Manny and I hopped out, hearts pounding. If she'd come here to replicate that fall, we circled around. The site was locked, with a sign that read, Restricted City Renovation. Manny pulled on the chain lock. Still locked. No sign of forced entry. He shook his head. No footprints in the dirt either. Relief washed over me. She wasn't here. We drove to a few more symbolic places. The beach resort where we had that short honeymoon test, the cafe we frequented. No sign of her. The hours ticked by, tension building. I updated Regina, she had nothing new. Police wouldn't label her missing yet. Finally, Manny and I parked by a random viewpoint near the city's river. I stared at the water gloomily. She might be anywhere. She might have hopped a bus out of state or gone to some motel. Manny put a hand on my shoulder. We'll keep looking. Let's check her old college campus or something. Just then, my phone pinged. It was Regina again, frantic. Ivan's estate caretaker says she might be at their lakeside cabin. She used to go there as a child. Could you try? I exchanged glances with Manny. A Carter cabin, huh? That's remote. Let's do it. Night was falling as we navigated winding roads to a private lake area, about an hour from town. Manny gripped the steering wheel, eyes scanning for a sign. Finally, we spotted a small wooden sign with Carter Cabin half rotted away. The gate was padlocked, but Manny just hopped out, used a crowbar from the trunk, and pried it open. We'll pay for a replacement, he muttered, ignoring the moral question of trespassing. We drove down a narrow dirt path, headlights cutting through the darkness. Eventually, the headlights revealed a modest lakeside cabin, old-fashioned, the porch light off. Manny parked. No other cars here, he murmured. We carefully approached, hearts pounding. Manny had a flashlight, shining it across the porch. No movement inside. Hello? I called, voice shaky. Nothing. Manny tried the door unlocked. A musty smell greeted us. We stepped inside, scanning the small living area. Dust-laden furniture, silent gloom. Suddenly, Manny's beam landed on a figure huddled in the corner. Selena, knees drawn up to her chest, face pale, eyes swollen from crying. She looked up, startled, tears glinting in the light. She croaked, "Hunter? How did you find me?" Relief and a spike of anger flooded me. Manny lowered the flashlight. "You're scaring people. We've been searching everywhere." She didn't even stand, just buried her face in her hands. "I'm sorry, I can't go back. Everyone hates me." I knelt a few feet away, uncertain. My voice wavered. "Selena, your Aunt Regina's worried sick. She said you left a note about giving up." She sniffled. "I have nothing. Dad disowned me. Zeke is threatening me if I don't help him spin the story. The media calls me a cheating whore. And you hate me. I destroyed our future." Hearing her broken voice tugged at my chest. Manny hovered behind me, letting me handle it. I took a steady breath. "I can't pretend I'm not angry, but I don't want you to hurt yourself. That's not the answer." She exhaled a shuddering breath. "I've considered it. Jumping in the lake, letting it all end. Then I realized how cowardly that is, but I have nowhere else to go, so I just sat here." For a moment we were silent. My heart pounded with a chaotic swirl of pity, anger, sorrow. "You can't run from your mistakes by hiding in a shack. You need help therapy, maybe." She gave a mirthless laugh. "Therapy won't fix the headlines calling me the senator's corrupt daughter with a secret lover. It won't erase your heartbreak or how I betrayed you." Manny spoke up gruffly. "But it might keep you alive. That's a start." She turned watery eyes to Manny, recognized him from all those times he was at my side. "I'm sorry for everything. I never wanted to drag you all through hell." I cleared my throat, trying to calm the tremor. "Look, we can get you out of here. Regina can help, or even Clarissa might find you legal counsel if you're threatened. But you have to face it. You can't hide." She swallowed, tears sliding down her cheeks. "Facing it means I'll be in a living nightmare. But maybe that's better than dying alone." I gave a small nod. "Come on, let's get you out of the dark. Manny, help me get her in the car." The drive back was tense. Selena sat in the back seat with a blanket Manny found in the trunk. She stared out the window, occasionally sniffling. I kept glancing at her reflection in the rearview mirror, torn between heartbreak and frustration. Manny said nothing, focusing on the winding road. Finally, Selena broke the silence. "You have every right to never forgive me." I gave a short nod. "Yeah, I do. But I can't let you self-destruct. That doesn't solve anything." She let out a trembling exhale. "I appreciate that. More than you know." I forced myself to keep my tone neutral. "Once we get to civilization, we'll call Regina, or maybe Clarissa, see if we can get you somewhere safe." She whispered, "Thank you." Manny flicked his eyes to me in the mirror, silently conveying that we were doing the right thing, even if it hurt. Around midnight, we rolled up to Regina's place in the suburbs. She came rushing out as soon as we parked, tears brimming when she saw Selena. "Oh, my baby, I've been worried sick." She hugged Selena, who looked fragile as a ghost. I hung back, Manny next to me. Regina turned, gratitude shining. "Hunter, I can't thank you enough." I shoved my hands in my pockets. "Just look after her, okay?" Selena raised her eyes to me, lips quivering. She opened her mouth like she wanted to say something profound, but only managed, "Thank you for not giving up on me tonight." My voice stuck. "Get some rest. Regina, we'll follow up tomorrow." With that, Manny and I headed back to the truck, hearts heavy. As we pulled away, Manny finally said softly, "You did the right thing." I leaned my head back on the seat, eyes closing. Doesn't feel good, but yeah, letting her drown in that cabin wouldn't fix anything. I barely slept that night. The next morning, Nia came over with coffee. She'd heard the rundown from Manny. "So, how do you feel now that Selena's safe?" I shrugged wearily. Relieved in some way, but also it reopens wounds. She's out of my life for a reason. Now she's reappeared like a wounded deer. I can't just ignore her, but I also can't trust her. Nia nodded sympathetically. "You can keep your boundaries. You helped prevent a tragedy, that's all. Doesn't mean you're reconciling or anything." I sighed. "I guess so. Part of me wishes she'd just vanish to another state, let me heal. Another part is glad she's not harming herself. It's complicated." Nia placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. "Complicated is normal in heartbreak. Take it day by day." Word spread that Selena Carter had a nervous breakdown. A tabloid published photos of her looking disheveled, swirling rumors that she tried to harm herself but was rescued by her ex-fiancé. Manny showed me the headline, bristling. "Damn vultures. They'll spin anything." We gave no official statement. Clarissa advised us to remain silent. The narrative played out in the press. Some sympathized with Selena, calling her a pawn in her father's game. Others vilified her more, saying she only turned suicidal because she got caught. Meanwhile, Carter himself was too busy fending off corruption charges to do a fatherly rescue. In my gut, I recognized we'd stepped into another wave of drama. But at least Selena was under Regina's care, presumably out of immediate danger. A few days later, Regina texted me. "Selena is stable. She wants to apologize properly. No pressure, but if you'd consider a brief meeting," I stared at my phone, dread mixing with reluctant curiosity. Manny and Nia said it was my call. Clarissa suggested a public place if I do meet to avoid misunderstandings. I couldn't decide. On one hand, seeing her again might dig the knife deeper into my heart. On the other, maybe hearing her raw truth would help me close this chapter. Finally, I replied, "Not yet. Need time." Regina responded graciously, "Understood. She'll wait." So I left it at that for now, focusing on my own life. Yet I felt the weight of that unresolved tension. Part of me suspected fate would push us together again before the dust finally settled. I once read that heartbreak and rage can form a twisted bond, fueling each other until you either burn alive or find a way to extinguish it. After rescuing Selena from her self-destructive spiral, I hovered at that crossroad. Keep feeding the fire of resentment or attempt some path toward closure. Meanwhile, the investigation into Ivan Carter and Zeke Novak thundered on, threatening new revelations at any moment. As for me, I busied myself with a series of city contracts, thanks to Manny's unwavering support and Nia's behind-the-scenes wizardry. My day-to-day involved drone flights over old bridges, scanning for cracks, and evenings spent organizing data. It was both a distraction and a lifeline routine that kept me from spiraling into the emotional vortex. But beneath that surface hum, I sensed a next phase approaching. We'd had the big public reveal, the near tragedy with Selena, the ongoing federal case. Something was about to break some final act in this drama. I just hoped I'd survive it with my soul intact. The first major shoe dropped about 2 weeks after we found Selena at the cabin. Headline: State Senator Ivan Carter, officially indicted on charges of money laundering fraud. Manny barged into my workshop that morning, phone in hand, reading the charges. They're saying he could face up to 20 years if convicted. This is big. I set down my drone controller, feeling a surge of complicated triumph. The man who threatened me, who orchestrated so many manipulations, was finally facing the law. "Well, guess he can't intimidate us from behind bars," I muttered. Clarissa phoned me soon after. "It's happening. He's out on bail, but trial might take months. They'll likely call you as a witness about those videos and texts, since it proves Carter's acceptance of Novak's funds. I inhaled deeply. I'll testify if needed. Let's bury him. Clarissa's tone was cautious. This will draw you back into the spotlight, but yes, if we want justice, we do it. That was the rub. To see Carter convicted, I'd have to stand in court, retell the humiliating saga, possibly face cross-examination from Carter's high-powered lawyers. Not pleasant. But I nodded. For justice. Manny overheard, gave me a thumbs up. No more fear. Let them come. Simultaneously, rumors swirled that Zeke Novak cut a plea deal. He'd turned over documents, email records implicating Carter in deeper crimes. In exchange, he might serve a reduced sentence. The cynic in me thought, typical rat. He helps rig the game, then flips to save his own skin. Nia gleaned from some leaked info that Zeke pinned a chunk of blame on Carter for pressuring him to funnel money. The media pointed out how Zeke's alleged affair with Selena might have sweetened the arrangement, a toxic stew of bribery and bedroom deals. I told Manny, if Zeke squeals, Carter's done. Manny grunted, good. Let them cannibalize each other. I recalled the time Zeke taunted me. Part of me wanted him to rot in jail, no deals. But at least if it puts Carter away, maybe it's worth it. Around that time, Selena made a brief statement on local TV apparently arranged by Regina. She appeared visibly shaken but more composed than before. She apologized for her role in the scandal, admitted an affair with Zeke, cited paternal pressure, and asked for privacy to heal. She didn't mention me by name, other than referencing the man I hurt deeply. I watched the segment with Manny, feeling numb. She wore a modest blouse, hair subdued. The anchor offered sympathy. She said she was seeking professional help and living quietly with her aunt. The comment sections online were mixed. Some said, she's lying, others said she's a victim. This city never lacked opinions. I was thankful she didn't drag me further into it. Manny said, maybe she's trying to salvage what's left of her life. I nodded, keeping silent. Fine, let her salvage. I'm done. Or so I told myself. Meanwhile, Nia was at a turning point. Her potential cybersecurity partnership firm gave a formal offer. A big contract that required relocating 2 hours away, near the state capital. She confided in me over dinner one night at a local bistro. They want me to help build a new team. The money's great. The tech is advanced. I forced a supportive smile. That's amazing. You deserve it. She bit her lip, eyes flicking downward. But I'd be leaving you in the middle of this fiasco. Are you okay if I go? It stung. She'd been my rock, but I couldn't be selfish. Nia, you've done more than enough for me. You can't put your life on hold forever. I'll manage. She smiled, squeezing my hand. I'm just a call or drive away, you know. Manny's still here, Clarissa's around. You're not alone. I swallowed a lump. I know. I'll miss you, though. We finished dinner feeling a bittersweet tinge. Another piece of normalcy slipping away because of this scandal. Yet I was proud of her. She was stepping up, forging her own path. Maybe it was time I did the same. A week passed, overshadowed by legal developments. Manny and I finished an inspection job in the countryside. As we returned, I got a call from an unknown number. Bracing for more nonsense, I almost ignored it. But Manny said, take it. Might be the FBI or Clarissa. I answered. An older male voice said, Mr. Davis, this is Dr. Patel from Lakeview Behavioral Clinic. Selena Carter is under my care. She asked me to reach out to you. My chest tightened. Is she okay? He cleared his throat. She voluntarily admitted herself for psychiatric help. She's stable, but she expressed a strong desire to see you if you're willing. No pressure, but it might aid her therapy's closure process. I glanced at Manny, who raised an eyebrow. I asked, why me? We're not exactly friends anymore. Dr. Patel's tone stayed calm. She believes an honest conversation could help both parties find some resolution. I can't force it, but I promise to ask. A swirl of emotions, pity, anger, curiosity. I'll think about it. Thanks, Doc. I hung up, leaning back in my truck seat. Manny put a hand on my shoulder. You up for that? I let out a shaky breath. I have no idea. For days, I mulled it over. Manny and Nia gave me space to decide. Clarissa said from a legal angle, It wouldn't harm me to talk to her, as long as I kept private details out of it. Regina texted me softly, encouraging me to go, but not pushing. I felt torn. Why reopen wounds? Maybe hearing her out would free me from the leftover bitterness. Manny pointed out, if you see her in a controlled environment, maybe you can say everything you never got to say. Then walk away for good. Finally, I caved. I told Dr. Patel I'd come for a brief visit. He scheduled a time at the clinic. I tried to keep my expectations low, but my chest pounded with dread. Late one afternoon, I drove alone to Lakeview Behavioral Clinic, a serene place by a wooded area. White building, tall windows, a sense of quiet. My heart hammered stepping through the glass doors, reminiscent of stepping into the unknown. A receptionist greeted me, led me to a small, homely visitation room. Dr. Patel, a kindly older man, introduced himself and gave me a brief overview. Selena's dealing with depression, guilt, identity issues. She wants to speak to you under my supervision for emotional safety. Are you comfortable? I licked my dry lips. Yes, let's get it over with. He stepped out to get her. Moments later, the door opened, and Selena walked in. She wore plain jeans and a sweater, hair tied back, eyes still puffy but calmer than before. She paused, meeting my gaze with trepidation. We were alone except for Dr. Patel, who sat in a corner quietly, letting us talk. For a beat, neither of us spoke. The tension was thick. Then Selena cleared her throat. Hi, I forced out. Hey. She took a seat opposite me, wringing her hands. Thanks for coming. I wasn't sure you would. I said nothing, just nodded, expression guarded. She inhaled, then words poured out. Hunter, I can't undo the damage I caused. You saved me at that tower, and I repaid you by lying, cheating, letting my father manipulate me. I have no excuse, only deep shame. I'm sorry. Tears glistened in her eyes. My chest tightened with old anger and a flicker of pity. And Zeke? That wasn't just your father's manipulation, was it? The text showed you two being pretty close? She grimaced, tears slipping. I know. It started as Dad's push, but I fell into it. I was flattered by Zeke's attention, thought it might help Dad's campaign. By the time I realized how wrong it was, I was in too deep. I still tried to keep you in the dark because I was terrified of losing you. Stupid, I know. My voice caught. You humiliated me in front of the entire city, basically. I gave you so many chances to be honest. She nodded vigorously, weeping. I'm a coward, a liar. I have to live with that. I understand if you'll never forgive me. Silence hung. Doctor. Patel watched from the side, expression neutral. I took a shaky breath. Why ask me here, to patch things up? That ship sailed. Selena pressed trembling hands to her mouth. I know we can't go back. I just need you to know the truth, to give me any closure you can, so I can keep healing. And you too, maybe. I rubbed my temple, feeling tears sting. Selena, you broke my heart. I loved you enough to marry you. Then you turned around and slept with a scumbag lobbyist. You let me sign that prenup, letting your father treat me like a gold digger. You stood silent. It's a mountain of betrayal. She sobbed openly. Everything you say is true. I can't change it. She sniffed, voice cracking. The day you exposed me at the gala, I hated you for humiliating me. But I'd forced your hand by humiliating you first. You had every right. My eyes pricked with tears. I did it for revenge and to protect myself. I didn't realize how badly it'd break you, but maybe you needed a wake-up call. She nodded, voice trembling. Yes, that revelation forced me to see how far I'd fallen. I might have ended my life if not for you showing up again at that cabin. So in some messed up way, you saved me twice. I swallowed. That doesn't mean I condone what you did. She nodded fervently. I know. I don't expect your love or friendship. Just your understanding that I truly regret it. That's all. We sat in silence for a moment, tears quietly falling from both our faces. Doctor. Patel cleared his throat gently. This has been intense. Are you both all right? Selena sniffled. I'm okay, she whispered, half-lie. Thank you, Hunter, for hearing me out. I mustered the last shred of composure. I accept your apology, but I can't pretend it undoes the hurt. I won't forget. But maybe I can move past the anger now. knowing you're seeking help." She gave a watery smile of gratitude. "That means the world to me." We parted with no embrace, no grand reconciliation, just a heavy nod. Dr. Patel stood to escort her away, and she paused at the door, eyes lingering. "Take care, Hunter," she said softly. I whispered back, "You too." Then she was gone, and I felt an odd mixture of sadness and relief. My mind reeled. So that's it. We faced each other. Maybe now we can both breathe. Outside, Manny waited, leaning by my truck. I hopped in, exhaled shakily. "Let's go home, man." He nodded. "How'd it go?" I swallowed tears. "We said our piece. I'm done." We drove off under the setting sun, my chest hollow but lighter than before. For the first time in a long while, I felt like maybe I could truly heal. In the weeks after I visited Selena in the clinic, I felt a fragile sense of calm settling over my life, like stepping onto a battlefield once the shelling stops. Rubble everywhere, sure, but a quiet hush that lets you breathe again. I had faced her, heard her apology, and though nothing about the betrayal was undone, something in me felt lighter. I wasn't carrying the same black hole of rage, more like a dull ache in my chest where heartbreak used to roar. Legally, Ivan Carter was indicted. Zeke Novak had turned state's evidence. Selena was in therapy, forging her path away from me. Manny and I kept the drone business afloat, landing new municipal contracts left and right. People still recognized me as the guy who exposed Senator Carter, but the media frenzy began to wane, replaced by fresh scandals from other corners of politics. Life marched on. Yet, as Manny liked to say, it ain't over till the gavel slams. The big fish Ivan hadn't stood trial yet. Zeke's testimony was rumored to be devastating. And I suspected the Carter family's final act would intersect with my life once more. But for the moment, I embraced the lull, gathering strength for whatever remained. Manny, Nia, remotely, and I had grown the drone company from a ragtag subcontractor crew to a well-regarded local firm with half a dozen part-time pilots and a backlog of city and county projects. Word of mouth soared after we'd proven both our competence and our moral stand. Clients seemed to trust a guy who wouldn't hide the truth. Nia was preparing to move 2 hours away for her new cybersecurity gig, but she still assisted us via remote networking. Manny oversaw day-to-day logistics, and I handled the engineering side, upgrading cameras, refining flight software, training the new hires. It was a good, honest hustle that kept me out in the open air, scanning roads, water towers, and bridges for cracks. Sometimes I wondered if that was poetic justice. After everything with Selena, I was scanning for cracks in real structures, ensuring stability where none had existed in my personal life. One mild morning, Manny and I stood on a hillside near an aging reservoir. I launched a drone while Manny operated a laptop analyzing structural scans. The sun rose behind us, painting the sky pink. He glanced my way. "How you holding up, boss?" I gave a half-smile. "Better. Not living in a swirl of hatred, at least. Nights are calmer." He nodded. "That's good. You deserve a break from all that drama." I exhaled, watching the drone buzz over the water. Yes, I thought, I do. That afternoon, after we wrapped the reservoir job, my phone lit up with Clarissa Hayes' name. We were used to talking about small details, some leftover legal queries about the Carters. This time, her tone was urgent. "Hunter, are you able to come by my office? I have important updates on the Carter trial." I frowned. "Sure. Manny and I can head there now." "Please do. I have transcripts from some depositions that might involve you." 10 minutes later, Manny dropped me off in front of Clarissa's modest law office downtown. She met me in the reception area, wearing a serious expression, beckoning me into her private room. Stacks of folders lined her desk. She tapped a binder. "Ivan Carter's defense team is pushing a narrative that Zeke Novak was the mastermind, while the senator was unaware of the illicit funds. They also plan to call you as a witness to question the authenticity of your drone footage. They're basically going to try to discredit you." I sank into a chair, jaw clenching. I expected they'd come after me. The footage was proven genuine. Clarissa sighed. "Yes, but their strategy might be to sow doubt about your motivations. Claim you had a vendetta after Selena's betrayal. They'll rummage through everything, from your personal finances to your relationships with Manny and Nia. They might even suggest you manipulated data for revenge. My chest tightened. So basically, they'll drag me through the mud. She nodded, sympathy in her gaze. Yes, but we've got strong evidence. The FBI labs verified your recordings. Just be prepared for personal attacks in the courtroom. The trial starts in about 2 weeks. I raked my hand through my hair, cursing under my breath. Okay, let's do what's needed. If it helps nail Carter, I'll testify. Clarissa gave a reassuring nod. We'll walk you through it, but brace yourself, this will be intense. I left her office with a swirl of anxiety. Manny, waiting in the truck, read my expression. We're going to war again, huh? I exhaled. Looks like it. Another round in the ring. Sure enough, the next day, a man in a crisp suit served me official papers at the workshop. A subpoena requiring me to appear in court as a witness in State v. Ivan Carter. Manny glowered at the process server, but I accepted the envelope politely, my stomach sinking. The date was set for 2 weeks from now. I texted Clarissa a photo of the subpoena. She confirmed we were good to go. For the next few days, Manny and I tried focusing on drone jobs, but the looming trial overshadowed everything. Nia, now in the midst of her transition to the new city, hopped on calls to help. We compiled every piece of raw footage, every timestamp, every chain of custody doc, building a bulletproof account of how I'd captured and stored the videos that exposed Selena's affair and the Carter corruption. Manny double-checked. We had to ensure not a single detail was left questionable. Late one night, I rewatched a snippet of that scandalous footage. Selena stepping out of her car, Zeke approaching. My throat constricted. I used to love that woman, I thought, pained. Then I closed the file. Enough. The city buzzed with anticipation for the trial. Carter still refused to resign from the Senate seat, even though he'd been stripped of key committee assignments. Rumor said many staffers resigned. Protesters occasionally gathered outside the Capitol with signs reading "Lock him up" or "No more Carter family crooks." Local news interviewed me by phone about the significance of your evidence. On Clarissa's advice, I answered politely but minimally. I captured footage revealing wrongdoing. It's now in the hands of the justice system. That's it. No drama. Enough theatrics had happened at the gala. Meanwhile, Selena stayed out of the public eye, presumably focusing on therapy. Regina texted me occasionally saying Selena was stable, quietly anxious about her father's trial. I didn't ask for details. She offered them anyway. Selena might also be called as a witness, so she's trying to maintain her composure. I felt a stab of sympathy. Being forced to testify against her own father, or possibly confirm the bribery details with Zeke. Rough. But that was out of my hands. Manny reminded me, we do our job. Let them handle their own chaos. Right. One gray afternoon, Manny and I stepped out of the workshop to grab lunch. We found a sleek black sedan idling on the curb. The rear window slid down, and there sat Ivan Carter, expression grim. He looked older, stress lining his once imposing face, but his gaze still burned with defiance. Manny tensed, stepping protectively in front of me. Carter beckoned me closer. Against Manny's protest, I took a step toward the car. Carter spoke in a low hiss. "Davis, you had your fun. You ruined my daughter's life, humiliated my family. Now you plan to bury me in court?" My jaw clenched. "You buried yourself. Don't blame me for exposing it," he sneered. "Don't play righteous. You used my daughter's vulnerability to stage your big moment. If you had any decency, you'd recant. Say you forged the videos like a confession for leniency." I laughed bitterly. "You want me to lie about forging the truth so you can walk free? That's insane." His eyes flashed with desperation. "I can still make your life miserable, Davis. I have connections. If you go through with your testimony, I'll ensure every city contract you hold disappears. You'll be blacklisted." Anger flared in me. Manny stepped forward, face dark. I held him back with a hand. Leaning toward Carter, I said calmly, "Do your worst. I'm done living in fear. The truth stands, and you're out of time." Carter's lip curled. "You think you're invincible? You're a tiny drone operator. I'm a senator." I stared him down. "Soon to be ex-senator, hopefully." Then I turned away, Manny glowering at him. The sedan sped off. My heart pounded. Manny exhaled. "Bastard's cornered. He's lashing out." "Yeah," I muttered. "Let him. The net's closing anyway." But adrenaline rattled me. reminding me that a caged animal can still bite. That night, I sat alone in my small living room, nursing a lukewarm beer, mind replaying Carter's threat. My phone pinged a text from Clarissa. "Don't worry about job blacklisting. The city stands behind you and the FBI will keep him under scrutiny. Stay safe." I typed back, "Thanks. I'll be ready." I realized we'd come full circle from the day I first met Selena. All that time, I'd tried to avoid being swallowed by Carter's political machine, yet here I was, the final witness in the biggest scandal of his career. Part of me felt a flicker of pity for him. Imagine your entire empire crumbling. But mostly, I felt an unwavering conviction. You can't manipulate your way out of justice forever. I set down the beer. Enough brooding. Manny and I had an early drone flight tomorrow. Life somehow marched on even if the trial loomed like a thundercloud. Over dinner a couple nights before the trial, Manny invited me to his house. His wife, Jennifer, made a hearty chili, and I got to see Manny's teenage son, Jared, working on a robotics kit. Manny, in jeans and a shirt, looked content at home, a side of him I rarely witnessed. After dinner, we sat on the back porch under string lights. Manny lit a small fire in a backyard pit. Jennifer and Jared left us alone, letting us talk. Manny sipped a soda, gaze flicking over the embers. "You know, man, you got a real life ahead of you after this trial. Don't let Carter's darkness define you." I blew out a breath. "I'll try. Sometimes I worry the scandal is all people see." He shrugged. "People forget faster than you think. Another scandal will pop up and they'll move on. Meanwhile, you got a thriving business. You can find love again, someone not tangled in politics." I forced a small smile. "Yeah, maybe. Hard to imagine trusting anyone so easily now." Manny patted my shoulder. "Give it time. Healing is slow, but it happens. You're a good dude with a big heart. Don't let the bitterness close you off forever." Warmth seeped into my chest. Manny rarely got sappy, but I appreciated the sentiment. "Thanks. Means a lot." We watched the fire crackle quietly, thinking about how sometimes the hardest battles aren't fought in public, but within the heart. In the early hours of the morning, I jerked awake, drenched in sweat. A vivid nightmare had assaulted me. I dreamed I was back at the water tower, Selena falling again, me trying to catch her, but my arms turned to lead, and she plummeted into darkness. I woke up gasping. For the first time in months, the image shook me deeply. Why now? Possibly because the trial was near, dredging up every painful memory. I sat on the edge of my bed, running a hand through my damp hair. I half wished Nia was still living nearby. She'd calm me, or Manny, or even Selena, but that was ironically twisted. Eventually, I grabbed a glass of water, forcing my thoughts to quiet. I reminded myself, she's safe in therapy. You did your part. She's not your responsibility anymore. Then I sank back into a troubled sleep. Clarissa set a final meeting 2 days before the trial. I arrived with Manny. Nia joined via video call from her new place. Clarissa explained the outline. Prosecutors would call me to authenticate the drone footage, logs, and explain how I discovered the corruption. Defense would try to poke holes in my credibility or claim I was motivated by revenge. I'd have to remain calm, answer truthfully, not rise to bait or speculation. We sat around Clarissa's tidy conference table. Manny spoke up. "We've got all the data in original unedited form. Should be ironclad." Clarissa nodded. "Absolutely. And the FBI's experts will back it up, but they'll attempt to smear. Expect personal jabs. They might mention your relationship with Selena in detail." I swallowed. "I'll handle it. The truth is on my side." Nia's voice crackled through the laptop speaker. "You got this, boss. Just keep your composure. Don't let them rattle you." I nodded, heart pounding. This is it. Another step. One last confrontation with the Carter machine. But at least this time, I wasn't alone or unprepared. The night before the trial started, Manny insisted I crash at his place for moral support. Jennifer cooked a comforting meal of roast chicken and mashed potatoes. Jared asked me about drones, wide-eyed and curious. I tried to be normal, but tension gnawed at me. Later in their guest room, I stared at the ceiling. Manny popped in. "Don't lose sleep. Tomorrow's just day 1. You might not even testify until day 2 or 3. Breathe." I forced a grin. "Yeah, thanks, man." After he left, I closed my eyes, conjuring images of me on the witness stand. I pictured Ivan glaring, the defense lawyers firing off questions. My heart hammered, but I whispered to myself, "You survived the gala. You survived heartbreak. You can handle a courtroom." With that shaky pep talk, I drifted into uneasy slumber, on the cusp of the final battle. The courthouse in our city was an imposing neoclassical building with tall pillars, set near a park where protesters usually gathered. On the first morning of the trial, Manny drove me there. We parked in a side lot, away from cameras. Tension coiled in my gut as we walked up the steps. I glimpsed clusters of reporters milling near the entrance, vans with satellite dishes, a throng of onlookers. Clarissa joined us in the lobby. "They might call you today or tomorrow. We'll see the schedule. The defense might want to open strong by attacking you, or they might wait." She gave a brisk nod. "Whatever happens, stay calm. Answer only what's asked." I inhaled. "Got it." We stepped into the grand hallway, its marble floors echoing our footsteps. I spied a flash of cameras outside the tinted glass doors. Manny hovered at my side, scanning for trouble. We found seats in a quiet corner, waiting. Half an hour later, we entered courtroom 2B, rows of benches, the judge's bench up front. Ivan Carter, wearing a sharp suit, sat at the defense table with his high-powered lawyers. I noticed him casting me a quick, venomous look. On the prosecution side sat a team of state attorneys. Zeke Novak was absent for now, presumably waiting in witness quarters. I settled in behind the prosecution bench. Manny took a seat at the back, arms crossed protectively. Clarissa sat near me, whispering last-minute reminders. My heart hammered. This was it. Judge Meredith Hall, a stern woman with graying hair, gave a curt greeting and reminded everyone this was a criminal trial for campaign finance fraud, money laundering, conspiracy. The lead prosecutor, Miss Dawson, rose to deliver the state's opening remarks. She painted a picture of Ivan Carter orchestrating a network of secret donations, aided by Zeke Novak, to bolster his political ambitions illegally. She mentioned how a key turning point was the exposure of hidden alliances through incontrovertible evidence from a private citizen's recordings. She didn't name me outright, but it was implied. Then Carter's defense lawyer, a tall man named Robert Lennox, gave his opening statement. He claimed Carter was a victim of unscrupulous donors and pinned blame on Zeke for forging financial documents. He also teased that certain dramatic revelations about the so-called whistleblower, that is me, would cast doubt on the entire narrative. My pulse quickened. Clarissa shot me a reassuring glance. "Don't worry." With the stage set, the trial began. The prosecution called a series of minor witnesses first. A campaign accountant who testified about suspicious transactions, a staffer who overheard Carter ordering hush money. Each piece layered the puzzle. I listened, trying not to fidget. Manny occasionally patted my arm, silently saying, "Hang in there." Late that afternoon, the prosecution signaled they'd call me the next day. My testimony was expected to be central to the state's case, bridging the corruption pattern with the footage that triggered the FBI's deeper investigation. The judge adjourned for the day. Manny and I exited the courthouse through a side door, but a few reporters ambushed us, shouting questions. "Mr. Davis, are you testifying tomorrow? What do you expect to say?" Manny blocked them, and we walked briskly to the truck. My head pounded, dread creeping in. Tomorrow I faced the cross-examination. I hoped I was ready. As we left, Manny spotted a figure waiting near the side street. It was Selena, wearing a simple blouse and jeans, looking anxious. My heart jolted. Manny frowned, stepping forward protectively, but she raised her hands in a non-threatening gesture. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I just wanted to say good luck tomorrow," she said softly, voice trembling. I stiffened. "Why are you here?" She swallowed, stepping forward. "I have to testify too, possibly next week. They want me to confirm Dad's awareness of Zeke's dealings. I know how tough the defense will be on you, so I wanted to say I'm sorry you have to endure that." Manny shot me a questioning look, but I turned to Selena. "I'm not doing it for your father, obviously." She nodded, eyes sad. "I know. Believe me, I don't want him walking free either. He's done enough harm." Tension hung in the air. Finally, Manny cleared his throat. "We should go." Selena gave a small nod. "Take care, Hunter." She left quickly, blending into the crowd. I stood there, heart unsettled. Manny led me away, whispering, "You okay?" I exhaled. Yeah, let's go home. That evening, Clarissa called me to rehearse possible lines of questioning. We went over the timeline, how I discovered Selena's suspicious behavior, how I installed drones, found evidence of her affair with Zeke, then discovered the campaign finance angles. She reminded me to keep emotion out, just the facts. This is a fraud trial, not a cheating scandal trial. The affair is context, not the focus. The defense will try to blow it up as personal revenge. After an hour of hypothetical Q&A, she said, "You're doing fine. Just breathe. Tomorrow, keep your answers direct." I hung up, feeling both exhausted and determined. Manny offered a fist bump. "You got this." I tried to sleep early, but nightmares lingered again. Flashes of the gala, cameras, Carter's sneer, the locked cabin with Selena curled in a corner. I woke drenched in sweat around 3 a.m., stared at the ceiling until dawn, reminding myself I had to finish this. Day 2 of the trial. Manny and I arrived early, Clarissa meeting us. Within an hour, the bailiff escorted me to the witness box. My heart pounded so loud I could barely hear my own thoughts. The judge swore me in. I stated my name, occupation. My hands gripped the wooden railing, knuckles white. Prosecutor Dawson approached. She was calm, methodical. She had me outline how I discovered Selena's suspicious behavior, the condo rendezvous, the black Mercedes, the phone logs, and eventually capturing the drone footage. She guided me to confirm the video's authenticity and how they led investigators to trace bribe money from Zeke to Carter's campaign. Dawson asked gently, "Mr. Davis, did you in any way fabricate or alter this footage for personal gain?" I met her gaze, voice firm. "No. The raw files are intact, verified by independent labs. I had no reason to fabricate anything, I only wanted the truth." She nodded, then asked me to confirm the chain of custody for the data. I explained, step by step. The prosecution seemed satisfied. My mouth felt dry, but I forced clarity into my words. This was the easy part, the truth. Finally, Dawson said, "No further questions, Your Honor." A tight breath left my lungs. Now the defense's turn. Carter's lead attorney, Robert Lennox, rose smoothly, approaching with a measured smile that didn't reach his eyes. Lennox's voice dripped with condescension. "Mr. Davis, you claim you're just an honest citizen, but let's discuss your personal entanglement with Miss Selena Carter." He proceeded to dredge up how we got engaged with remarkable speed, how I supposedly resented Senator Carter's prenuptial demands. He posed a question. "Isn't it true you were furious about that prenup, which labeled you a potential gold digger?" I swallowed. "I was offended, yes, but I signed it anyway. I never demanded money from them." He snorted. "Yet you discovered Miss Carter's affair conveniently before the wedding. Might your heartbreak have fueled a desire to ruin Senator Carter's career?" I kept my voice steady, though my pulse raced. My heartbreak had nothing to do with Carter's illegal finances. I didn't ruin his career, his actions did. Lennox pressed on. "But you orchestrated a public humiliation at a major gala, correct? Revealing personal affairs on a big screen?" My gut twisted. Yes, I revealed the affair publicly. I was left with no choice to expose the truth. The campaign corruption was overshadowed. If I approached them quietly, they might bury it. So I took a drastic step. He pounced. "Drastic indeed, more akin to vengeful theatrics. So you admit using scandalous footage to sabotage Carter?" Clarissa objected. "Argumentative." The judge sustained, cautioning Lennox. He pivoted. Then Lennox tried to cast doubt on the finances. "You see, Mr. Davis, you have no direct proof that the money Zeke gave to Carter was illegal, aside from these text references, correct? Could it be legitimate donations, misconstrued by you because you disliked Carter?" I steadied myself. "The FBI's found evidence of money laundering, not me. I just provided the footage that sparked deeper investigation." He huffed. "But you admit your main impetus was personal betrayal, correct?" I glared slightly. "My impetus was discovering wrongdoing that impacted me personally, yes. That doesn't invalidate the authenticity of the evidence." He tried a few more rhetorical jabs. I answered plainly, resisting the urge to snap. The judge had to warn him twice about leading questions. Eventually, he finished with a flourish. "We maintain that Mr. Davis's obsession with payback taints his credibility. No further questions." I sat there, adrenaline coursing, face hot. The judge dismissed me. I stepped down, ignoring Carter's icy stare. Manny caught my eye, nodded approvingly. You did fine. The next break, Manny and Clarissa joined me in a side hallway. Clarissa patted my arm. Good job. You stayed calm. They tried the revenge angle, but I think you handled it well. The prosecution will reinforce the forensic data anyway. I leaned against the wall, breath shaky. I hated every minute. Felt like they put my heartbreak on trial. Manny's hand on my shoulder was reassuring. But you didn't lose your cool. That's a win. We left the courthouse for lunch, news cameras swirling. A reporter yelled, "Mr. Davis, how did cross-examination go?" Manny shielded me and we kept walking. My mind reeled, trying to process it all. I was relieved the worst was over for me, though the trial continued. Next, they'd likely call Zeke, then possibly Selena. The following days, Manny insisted I skip the actual trial sessions, let the prosecution do their job. But curiosity tugged at me. Also, Clarissa said if the defense recalled me, I should be on standby. So Manny and I sat quietly in the gallery. We watched Zeke Novak take the stand. He wore a crisp suit, no longer the smug figure I remembered. Now he looked uneasy. He recounted how Carter demanded certain financial arrangements, how Selena's involvement was part of ensuring the money pipeline. He admitted forging documents to hide the transactions. Carter's face was stony. Zeke's testimony hammered the final nails in the coffin. The defense tried to poke holes, but Zeke was prepared. He'd cut a deal, had receipts. The day after, they called Selena. I sat in the back row, Manny at my side. She walked in, shoulders hunched, face pale. She answered questions about her father's controlling behavior, how he introduced her to Zeke for campaign favor. She admitted to lying to me, forging a front for Carter's re-election. Tears shimmered in her eyes as she recounted her fear of defying her father. She also stated that her father absolutely knew the funds were illegal. Carter scowled, scribbling notes, occasionally glaring at her. I felt a pang of pity, seeing her on the stand, forced to help bury her father. She looked devastated but resolute. Manny whispered, "She's telling the truth now, at least." I nodded quietly, conflicted emotions swirling. With Zeke and Selena both testifying to Carter's explicit knowledge, plus the FBI's forensic accountants presenting money trails, the defense's strategy unraveled. They tried painting Carter as a father who trusted the wrong people, but the evidence was overwhelming. The gossip outside the courtroom was that the jury would almost certainly convict. On the last day of testimony, Manny and I hovered in the hallway, Clarissa popping in and out saying, "Defense tried a final motion to dismiss charges. The judge denied it. They're heading to closing arguments." I felt relief and tension coexisting. At last, the end is near. Closing arguments came swiftly. The prosecution hammered home the pattern of corruption, calling Carter the architect of a conspiracy. The defense, lacking better options, repeated the betrayed by unscrupulous donors angle. The judge gave instructions, and the jury went into deliberation. We all held our breath. It took the jury less than a day, 8 hours total. Manny, Clarissa, and I joined the packed courtroom. I spotted Selena in a corner near Regina, both looking anxious. Carter sat with his lawyers, stoic, jaw set. The foreman rose and delivered the verdict. Guilty on multiple counts, money laundering, conspiracy, fraud. A wave of reaction rippled across the room. The judge thanked the jury, set a sentencing date in a few weeks. Carter's face turned ashen. He glared around, eyes passing over me, Manny, Selena. He muttered something to his lawyer. The bailiffs approached to formalize post-verdict procedures. Some reporters rushed outside to break the news. Manny whispered, "He's done." I let out a long, trembling exhale. Finally, the unstoppable Ivan Carter dethroned. I caught a glimpse of Selena hugging Regina, tears on her cheeks. Our eyes met for a brief second across the aisle. She wore a mix of relief and sorrow. I gave a subtle nod, acknowledging the moment. Then Manny and I stepped out, ignoring the camera flashes. With Ivan Carter found guilty, the city exhaled in collective shock and relief. Headlines blared, "Carter convicted in fraud case." His sentencing hearing loomed, likely to put him behind bars for years. Political pundits debated the Carter dynasty's downfall, citing me as the catalyst. For me, life didn't magically become perfect, but a heavy weight lifted. I no longer feared Carter's retribution or dreaded legal battles. I'd told the truth. The system had responded. and the verdict was in. Manny, Clarissa, and I toasted a quiet victory in her office with cheap sparkling cider. She said, "This is a big day, folks. You did it." Manny clapped my back, grinning. Yet beneath the celebration, I felt echoes of regret about Selena, about how love turned to heartbreak and scandal. She'd testified, helped bury her father. She was out there somewhere, forging a new life, and I was forging mine. Maybe that was enough. The local news showered me with interview requests again, praising my bravery, calling me a whistleblower hero. Clarissa advised me to keep a low profile. The trial is over, so you owe them nothing. No sense fueling tabloids. I agreed wholeheartedly. Manny joked we should sell shirts that say drones don't lie, but I rolled my eyes. The city council quietly reaffirmed our contract. Manny and I found new leads for expansions. My phone rang daily with prospective clients saying, "We trust your integrity." I tried to accept it graciously, though part of me yearned to fade back into anonymity. At the same time, Carter's supporters evaporated. A few hardliners griped about witch hunts, but the overwhelming public saw Carter's wrongdoing. Zeke's reputation was equally ruined. He faced sentencing too, albeit lighter due to cooperation. The era of Carter's political empire ended with a whimper. Good riddance. Regina called me a week after the verdict, her tone cautious. "Hunter, I just wanted you to know Selena left the clinic. She's staying with me temporarily, focusing on therapy and applying for jobs. She's calmer." I thanked her for the update, not sure if I wanted these details. Regina added, "She's asked me to pass along that she's thankful for your testimony. It validated everything she said about Carter's manipulation. She wishes you well." My chest pinched. I replied, "I hope she finds peace. That's all." Regina said goodbye, sounding relieved I wasn't hostile. After the call, Manny found me pensive. "Selena updates?" he guessed. I nodded. "She's out, trying to rebuild." He gave me a half smile. "That's probably good. Maybe you can close that chapter." A few days later, Manny surprised me with a big announcement. "I'm thinking of stepping back from day-to-day operations." We were in the workshop, reviewing new job orders. I blinked. "Wait, what? You're leaving?" He chuckled. "Not leaving entirely, just wanting less day-to-day stress. Maybe part-time consulting. I've got family stuff. Jared's going to college soon, and I want to be around." A pang of panic hit me. "But you're my right-hand man. The business is half you." He patted my shoulder. "You can run it just fine. We can hire a couple managers. I'll still do special ops if you need me, but I want to scale back." I swallowed. "If that's what you want, I'll support it. You've earned it." Inwardly, I felt a swirl of sadness, but also acceptance. Manny had guided me through the darkest storms. Maybe now that things were calmer, he deserved a break. We decided to set up a search for a new operations manager. Manny said he'd stay until we found a suitable candidate. Another sign that life was moving forward, whether I was ready or not. Nia, who had moved for her cybersecurity contract, made a surprise weekend visit. She breezed into the workshop with an excited grin. "I have the best news. My new team's a success, so I negotiated remote flexibility. I can come here once a month or you can come visit me." She gave me a friendly hug. "I missed you, boss." I laughed, heart lifted. "Missed you too, tech wizard." Manny joined in, and the three of us ended up grabbing lunch at our old favorite diner. Over burgers, Nia asked me how I felt now that the trial ended. I shrugged. Relieved, mostly. Still dealing with the aftermath, but it's a weight off my chest. She nodded. "And Selena? Any contact?" I fiddled with my fry. "Not really, except Regina calling occasionally. She's apparently out of the clinic, living low-key. I'm not sure I want more details." Nia squeezed my forearm. "That's fair. You've done your part. Let her find her path." We lingered, joking about Manny wanting partial retirement, about new drone upgrades. For the first time in ages, our conversation wasn't overshadowed by scandal or heartbreak. It felt normal. I realized how starved I was for normalcy. One evening, I got home from the workshop to find a plain envelope in my mailbox. No return address. Inside was a handwritten note. "Hunter, I owe you my life, twice over. I know I can't fix the past, but I want you to know I'm truly striving to become a better person, away from Dad's shadow. If you ever want to talk, or if there's anything I can do to repay your kindness, here's my new phone number. If not, I understand. Selena. My hands trembled reading it. Manny, flipping through some receipts, noticed. You okay? I handed him the note. He read it silently. So she's reaching out again. What do you want? I swallowed, heart tight. I don't know. Part of me says let it lie. Another part feels maybe I can at least keep the door open to civility. He shrugged. You do what feels right in your gut. There's no script for heartbreak. I tucked the note away. I'm not ready to call, but I won't toss it either. Soon after, the sentencing hearing for Ivan Carter arrived. Clarissa and I attended, wanting closure. Manny came too. We sat in the same courtroom, watching Carter in shackles for the first time, no expensive suit, just a prison uniform. He looked deflated, a shadow of the once powerful senator. The judge hammered him with a 7-year prison term for the main charges, plus restitution fines. Gasps echoed. Carter's jaw clenched, but he said nothing. No apology to the public or acknowledgement of guilt. The judge gave him a moment to speak if he wanted. He simply stared down, lips pressed tight. I felt neither pity nor triumph, just a solemn acceptance that justice had been served. Manny later said, 7 years might be short for all that scamming, but at least he's behind bars. I nodded. It's enough. Let him rot in disgrace. Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed. People asked me for a comment about Carter's prison sentence. I just said, justice is done. I have no further statement. Clarissa shielded me from more questions, ushering us away. Manny muttered, that's that. The final nail in the coffin. I exhaled, a swirl of conflicting emotions, relief that Carter was gone, sadness for the wreckage left behind. Selena, I thought, must be devastated on some level. She did help put him there, but he was still her father. Life can be cruel. We parted ways with Clarissa, Manny, and I heading to the truck. He asked quietly, feel better? I thought, then answered, yes, freed in a sense. Now maybe I can truly move on. Manny gave a thumbs up. The day was bright, a new chapter on the horizon. The next few days I oscillated between relief and emptiness. Without the looming threat, my daily routine felt aimless. Manny teased, we have a backlog of drone jobs, man. Where's your head? I forced a grin. Right, let's get to it. One afternoon, I found myself driving near the old water tower. The city had fully renovated it, fresh paint, new walkways. Funny how it symbolized so much. The place I first saved Selena's life, the place that set us on a doomed path. I parked, stepping out to gaze up at the tower. A sign read, Historical Landmark, renovation sponsored by Carter legislation. The irony stung. I recalled that day her falling, me catching her, the adrenaline, the moment I realized she wasn't just a random stranger. The memory no longer seared with heartbreak. Instead, it felt like a past life. I exhaled softly, returning to my truck. Time to let it rest. Manny's partial retirement approached quickly. Nia arranged a small farewell get-together at the workshop. Our staff, plus Manny's family, gathered with snacks and drinks. A few city officials Manny had worked with came too, praising his expertise. Manny gave a short speech, looking emotional. He singled me out. Hunter, you were a scrappy kid with a drone dream when we first joined forces. Look how far you've come. I'm proud of you. Keep pushing forward, man. This is your baby now, but I'm always a call away. Tears burned my eyes. I clasped his hand. Thanks for everything, Manny. I owe you big time. Jennifer, Manny's wife, teased. He'll still show up if you need muscle. Everyone laughed. A sense of closure warmed the air. Manny wasn't disappearing entirely, just stepping back, but it felt like the end of an era. Afterwards, Manny pulled me aside. Promise me one thing. Don't bury your heart in bitterness. You deserve love that's real. Don't be afraid to try again when you're ready. His words hung in the air. I nodded, voice tight. I promise. As Manny phased out, he urged me to take a break, too. You need a mental reset, he insisted. All you've done is hustle or face drama. So I decided on a short road trip to a scenic national park a few hours away. I invited Nia, but she was swamped at her new job. Manny said, Jen and I have a family event, but go yourself. Clear your head. You got managers who can handle the week's workload. So one morning I packed a bag, hopped in my truck, and set off. The highway stretched ahead, open sky above me. Part of me hoped to find a sense of peace or at least new perspectives. The Carter fiasco was behind me. Manny was stepping back. Nia had her own life. The future felt wide open, scary, but promising. I turned up the radio, letting the wind swirl. Time to see who I am without the weight of heartbreak or revenge. I pointed the truck toward the horizon, not sure what I'd find, but ready to discover. I used to think closure would arrive like a tidy package. The corrupt senator locked up, the cheating wife out of my life, the public scandal over. In reality, closure turned out to be more of an ongoing journey. Even as I cruised down quiet highways, the memories lingered. I found myself reflecting on everything. The day I saved Selena from that tower, the surreal engagement, the betrayal, the public reveal, the trial, Manny's guidance, Nia's unwavering loyalty. Each piece shaped who I'd become. I spent a week wandering scenic overlooks, hiking short trails. The monotony of nature, rustling pines, trickling streams, bird calls helped me process. I realized letting go wasn't about forgetting, but accepting that heartbreak was part of my story. Carter's downfall freed me from external threats, but emotional freedom had to come from within. On my third day, I sat at a rustic lodge's outdoor patio, sipping coffee, watching the sunset over a mountain ridge. A few other travelers chatted nearby. My phone buzzed with a text from one of our managers about a new contract. I typed a quick response. Approved, proceed. Then I resumed the quiet moment. An older couple at a nearby table struck up conversation. Where you from? I gave a casual, local city, run a drone inspection business. They found it fascinating, asked a million questions. Normally, a year ago, I'd have politely answered and moved on. But now, I found myself enjoying the small talk, remembering Manny's advice about not closing off. We ended up sharing stories. They mentioned they were retired teachers, traveling the parks. I realized this was the normalcy I'd craved, a random chat without politics or drama. Reassuring. That night, the lodge's rustic cabin room felt cozy. No TV, just a small lamp. I lay in bed, gazing at shadows. Thoughts drifted to Selena again. Not the scandal or heartbreak, but the fleeting good times. Her laugh when she teased me about being a drone nerd, the warmth of her presence at the beach resort, the sweet moments that made me fall in love. Despite everything, I recognized those moments were real. I whispered into the darkness, I forgive you, Selena, surprising myself. I didn't realize I was prepared to say that. But maybe forgiveness was more for me than her allowing me to stop carrying the burden of anger. A tear slid down my cheek, but it felt oddly cleansing. I pictured Manny's grin, Nia's comforting voice, the dusty corridor of the courthouse, Carter's hateful glare. Then the memory receded into stillness, letting me drift into restful sleep. On day 5 of my trip, I hiked a moderate trail, feeling the burn in my legs, the crisp mountain air in my lungs. When I reached a viewpoint, my phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. Tired of ignoring calls, I answered. Hello? Regina's familiar voice came through, timid. Hunter, sorry to bother you. I hope you're well. Selena asked me to call. She'd like to see you, if that's at all possible. She wants to talk not about romance, just a conversation. My heart gave a thump. I'm out of town. What's it about? Regina sighed. She's found a counseling group that helps families of incarcerated individuals. She feels it would help to share some details with you, get your viewpoint. She says it's part of her healing, but she understands if you say no. I stared at the breathtaking valley below. Could I handle that? I'm not sure. I've made peace. I don't want to reopen old wounds. Regina's voice softened. I understand. No pressure. She's just hoping for honesty. She regrets so many lies. You can choose your time or no time at all. A swirl of thoughts. Let me finish my trip. I'll think about it. Regina thanked me gently. We hung up. I felt Manny's voice in my head. You do what your gut says. I resumed the hike, each step echoing the question, do I meet her once more? By day 7, I decided to head home. The workshop needed me. Manny was half retired, and if Selena was eager to talk, maybe I should at least see what she had to say. I drove the winding roads back, my mind calmer, heart steadier. The last vestiges of resentment had mostly drained away in the mountain air. Late that evening, Manny greeted me at the workshop with a grin. "You look less tense, man. Good trip?" I nodded. "Yeah, it helped me breathe." I told him about Regina's call. He gave a thoughtful shrug. "You can handle it. Just keep boundaries. Don't let her guilt you into anything. But if it gives you final closure, might be worth it." I patted his shoulder. "Thanks, friend." 2 days later, I texted Regina. "I'm back. We can meet briefly, in a neutral spot." She replied with gratitude. We arranged a quiet public park near downtown late afternoon. Manny offered to come as backup. I said I appreciated it, but I wanted to handle it alone. He understood, but asked me to keep my phone on. So there I was, on a mild autumn afternoon, standing near a bench by a small pond. Ducks paddled in the water, leaves turning gold. Selena approached slowly, arms folded, wearing a plain sweater and jeans, hair pinned back. She paused a few feet away. "Hey," I swallowed, nodding. "Hi." We both sat on the bench, leaving a gap of space. The hush felt thick. She took a shaky breath. She spoke first, voice low. "Thank you for agreeing to see me. I know we parted ways in therapy and you did so much, but I realize there's more I need to share." She looked up, eyes full of earnestness. "All my life, Dad molded me. I was a puppet. I lied to so many people, even myself. I want to live honestly now." I studied her face, trying to sense sincerity. She continued, "I want to be part of that counseling group for families dealing with incarceration. They suggested writing letters to those we wronged. I did that, but it felt incomplete. I needed to ask you if there's anything you want from me, any closure or questions you never got to ask." My throat constricted. Is there something I need to know? I exhaled. "I guess I want to know if there was ever a moment you considered telling me the truth about Zeke, about your father's demands before it all blew up." She nodded vigorously. "Yes, many times. But Dad threatened me, said if I told you, he'd cut my trust fund, disown me, sabotage your business. I was weak. I rationalized that I could keep both worlds afloat. I was scared you'd leave me if you knew. It was selfish." I felt a stab of old pain. "So you chose the easy path, letting the betrayal fester until I discovered it myself." Her voice cracked. "Exactly. And that's my biggest regret. You deserved honesty. Maybe we could have found a better solution. But I was a coward." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "I'm so sorry, Hunter." I closed my eyes, letting the wave of hurt roll through. Then I said quietly, "Thank you for telling me. For what it's worth, I might have tried to help you if you'd been honest sooner. But it's done now." She nodded, wiping tears. "I know, I can't undo it. But your forgiveness or understanding helps me move forward. Maybe one day I can do something meaningful with my life." We sat a moment watching the ducks. Finally, she turned to me. "Your drone company's doing well, I heard. I'm glad. You deserve success." I managed a slight smile. "Thanks. Manny's retiring, so I'm stepping up more. It's good, though." She fiddled with a leaf. "I'm not looking for friendship or anything. Just wanted to see if we could end on a note of mutual respect, or at least not end with hate." A swirling mix of emotions welled in me. "I don't hate you anymore. I did for a while. Now I see you were as much a victim of your father's manipulation as I was. But we all make choices. You made yours. I've moved on." She breathed out unsteadily. "That means the world to me. Thank you." She hesitated, then rose. "I should go. Thank you for hearing me." We stood. I offered a nod. "Good luck, Selena. Take care of yourself." She gave a trembling smile, tears in her eyes, then walked away, autumn leaves crunching underfoot. I watched her go, no illusions of reuniting, no desire for further entanglement. Just a profound sense that we'd closed the final page of a dark chapter, both stepping into separate stories. I filled Nia in by phone that evening. She listened, then murmured, "Proud of you. That took courage to face your ex-fiancé again." I shrugged, pacing the workshop. It wasn't dramatic, just a calm farewell. She's forging a new life, apparently. I guess I hope she does better. Nia's voice softened. "That sounds like closure. You've come a long way since we found her at that condo, or the day you publicly exposed everything." I realized how far I'd come indeed. A year ago, I was seething with betrayal. Now I felt a gentle acceptance. Yeah, life moves on. Nia teased. Now maybe you can date some nice drone enthusiast. We both laughed, the tension lifting. Let the future hold what it will. A week later, Manny officially transitioned to consultant status. Our new operations manager, a sharp woman named Dahlia, took over daily scheduling. Manny told me he'd pop in occasionally to see how things run, but mostly he'd enjoy time with Jennifer and Jared. On Manny's last official day, he lingered in the workshop. We both stared at the row of drones, remembering battles fought literal and metaphorical. Manny turned, eyes misty. Hard to let go of the day-to-day, man, but I know you've got this. You don't need me overshadowing you. I half-laughed. You never overshadowed me. You were my backbone. But yes, I'm ready. We embraced. Manny gave me a fatherly pat on the back. I whispered, "Thank you, Manny. Couldn't have survived without you." He broke away, clearing his throat. "Stay in touch. If Carter's loyalists cause trouble, I'll come swinging." We shared a grin, parted ways. My heart brimmed with gratitude, sadness, and a sense of stepping into a new era. With Manny taking a back seat, Nia stationed 2 hours away, and the Carter scandal behind me, I stood on the threshold of my next chapter. Dahlia showed promise as an operations lead. We were bidding on multi-county contracts. I felt the excitement of expansion, of building a real legacy for the drone company. I also felt a twinge of solitude. My closest allies were stepping aside, forging their own paths. One late afternoon, I found myself alone in the workshop, finishing a drone calibration. The warm glow of the setting sun filtered through the windows, dust motes dancing. I paused, staring at the half-finished mechanical parts on my bench. My mind drifted to that first day I laid cable near Selena's place, how random fate turned everything upside down. Now, that part of my life was behind me. Carter was imprisoned, Selena was forging a new future. Manny had semi-retired. Meanwhile, I stood with a fresh start, no political anchors, just the wide horizon of possibilities. I stepped outside, gazing at the sky. The memory of the meteor shower with Manny's family flickered how wonder filled me at the infinite night. That sense of wonder stoked my chest now. Where do I go from here? Anywhere. With a soft smile, I loaded a drone into the back of my truck. Maybe I'd do a quick flight, capture a final evening panorama for fun, reminding myself why I loved technology and open skies. That's who I was before politics intruded a curious mind, a dreamer with a drone. And that's who I could be again, forging something honest. Yes, heartbreak lingered as a scar, but scars meant healing had begun. I was done letting the past define me. The future beckoned with each hum of a rotor, each swirl of the wind. I climbed into my truck, turned the key. Time to live on my own terms, free at last.